The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.
Don't wake me up.
Shalom, shalom.
In a dream, don't touch, I've been taken up. Being shown in a vision, curiosity got me stuck.
Come on in.
7 hands, 10 horns on the waters, raising up, praising up. I see crowds, flaming floors. Is it war at the door? I've been searching for it.
Shalom, shalom. We're not giving it up.
I'm at the point understanding dreams are the real time. Please nobody wake me up. I try moving on, but my body is stuck. My conscience is raised, an angel pick me up. Awaken from this matrix. Looking down on the gold, blood dripping from his robe. I know he can fix this. I see a burning Rome and our people coming home. Can I please get a witness? Witness, I'm not coming down till I get this. These predictions can't be superstition. The decision being shown in the vision. It is ended. Yeah.
Shalom, shalom. The vision. The fallen angels. Come on. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rick Shiar of the Gathering of Christ Church, here live with our weekly podcast, also Blog Talk Radio Conversation. We're live from the Gathering of Christ Church. Here I also have Elder Lawyer in the background as usual. And brothers and sisters, yes, we're going to have a detailed discussion this evening. But before doing so, please hit the like button. Please, brothers and sisters, hit the like button. We're under a shadow ban. And make sure that even after the broadcast, go to the main page to make sure you aren't unsubscribed from the channel. All right? Subscribe, hit the bell, and then tell the channel you would like to receive all channel updates. All right? People, I'm getting messages that people are getting unsubscribed, aren't getting notifications. We're under shadow ban. So in order for us to keep these numbers up and to warn the people, brothers and sisters will need your help during these broadcasts. At minimum, we ask that you hit the like button. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot as you come on in. All right. Also, we're going into this week's lesson, Elder Lawyer. This week's lesson in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. We just did the 4 weeks of Daniel, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we did that leading to the mark of the beast. I would definitely like to go into, we're at week 10.
Yes, sir.
Week 10. I think the real good lesson, a real good lesson after going into the 4 beasts of Daniel leading to the mark of the beast. I would love to go into week 10. I'm going to fuse the two portals and finding the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm.
All right, we're going to go into the portals that NASA found within the earth. In 2012, actually, they found all the portals leading into the earth from the spiritual realm into the earth. And also, I'm going to teach the significance of that and also finding the Ark of the Covenant. The greatest weapon known to mankind. The movie Raiders of the Lost Ark highlighted that particular artifact in which all of the great archaeologists throughout the world had a race to find this Ark of the Covenant. Well, I'm going to prove that Ark of the Covenant will be given back to our people. All right. The greatest weapon known, the greatest clean weapon known to mankind. When the Ark of the Covenant was in our possession, brothers and sisters, no nation on the earth could war against us. Okay? Think about this. It's cleaner than any nuclear energy. It's more direct and accurate than any so-called intercontinental ballistic missile or guided missile. Clean energy, it only kills its enemies, and then the power goes back into the Ark of the Covenant. We're going to show you exactly where this is and how the Most High is going to give it back to us in the wilderness this coming Sunday. You don't want to miss that. Portals, that's right, the doors between the invisible and our realm. We're going into it and finding the Ark of the Covenant this coming Sunday. All right. And for those who would like to participate in the next academy, we have so many things we're going to cover. Brand new lessons. We will be taking enrollments. Go to historytimes.org if you want to enroll in advance, whatever the case is. And the first week of March, we'll make sure those new enrollees get an opportunity to understand how great this academy is. All right. There's nothing like it on the earth. Hebrew, real-time uncensored news, as well as, you got it, the lesson. And like I said last Sabbath, a new platform that will have it where you go directly to one site. Everything will be there for you. Your lessons, just like in a class, your links, everything is there for the individual student. And none of this would be possible, brothers and sisters, without all of your support and your committed dedication to the Most High's work. I would like to say thank you. All right, Elder Lawyer, jumping right in. Jumping right in, as you can see the lesson for today. The lesson for today, as you can see on that avatar, titled The Replacements. Okay. I asked AC to make an avatar showing those who are replacing predominantly blacks in America and how and we're going to detail the political agenda behind it. Okay, today. Now, the reason why I'm calling this the replacements is because our people who are destroyed for lack of knowledge, black people in America who so happens to be from the tribe of Judah, we're actually participating in our own demise and destruction. And I think we're doing so. And matter of fact, I know it's happening due to sheer ignorance. And because we are helping in our own demise, let me tell you, folks, the nations have opened up the borders. They have opened up the floodgates to align themselves politically and otherwise against the children of Israel for the final battle. I'm going to show you how they socially engineer this in our society, with unbeknownst to us, and how we participate in it. We're participating in our own replacing. And the reason why, another reason why our people are ignorant to this, not just because our people weren't taught the truth about the Bible. Another reason our people are ignorant to this fact, brothers and sisters, being destroyed for lack of knowledge, is 1. 2, ignorance. Is because we don't understand the social buzzwords. We don't know when the enemy is saying outright in public they're aiming to destroy us, man, woman, and child. We don't know their buzzwords. We don't understand or recognize when we're being replaced. By the time we understand it, it's too late. By the time we realize that the other nations have infiltrated us, it's far too late. Here's the unfortunate part about this, brothers and sisters. We're so far gone, in America in particular. We've been divided to a level. I'm speaking of the black man and the black woman in particular, Judah. The reality is that there is no resolving the issue. It's too far gone. Society can only go backward for us at this time. Only a few elect who can see will be saved through this. So I'm not putting this out there to say, well, hold up, here's what's going on, and through that, we'll be able to take our preeminence and power back as a nation here in America. It's not going to happen. We've allowed it to go too far. My position here, according to the Bible, is to give the insight real time of where we are and what's going on, so that all involved within eye distance of viewing this or ear distance of hearing this can make choices. America will not be saved. The family that have been social engineered into total demise within America, the black family in particular, in America, in the numbers we used to remember, wholesome family, traditional families, that will never happen again. Not because we will not allow it. It's because we have allowed it. And the other nations engineered the state we're in. Hosea 4:6, Elder Lawyer, let's go. And I'm going to break it all the way down. Now, there's no doom and gloom in this, because only those who choose to stay ignorant will fall with Babylon. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Hosea chapter 4, verse number 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
That's it. And this is what the nations, the races of people, understand about us. Now, indirectly, there's collateral damage in these social wars. all nations, including white families who believe in God. They're looking to dismantle and destroy you and your children too. Who's the we? Well, we're going to focus on that this evening. Who is the we? We're looking to destroy you too. Because ultimately, outside of color, outside of the racial paradigm or dynamic, which exists, there's also a spiritual or realm dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you why they're going to come after you. Okay? Enemies are clearly defined in the Bible, specifically the Old Testament. We understood in the Old Testament before our people, the children of Israel, that's who we are, lost Jerusalem. It was understood what an enemy is. It was clearly defined. An enemy first starts religiously. A person who serves a different God automatically was deemed enemy to our nation. It's not that. Listen, it's not that we were some religious haters. It had everything to do with the systematic structure of idolatry that led these nations into continually battling against our families. It was really a spiritual war. The demons and spirits within those conclaves they called Moloch temples gave the priests and governments of these other nations directions, and their direction was to kill and destroy all that is right, according to the God of Israel. So that was a religious component. So automatically we knew it doesn't matter what you would call your religion. If you had an Eastern religion, Persian mythology, if you had today what they call Islam, which is ancient Persian mythology, being a Buddhist, we understood that the first level of warfare is spiritual. And we were able to identify that by one's political practices. But first, it started with their religious practices, what God you serve. See? So it was clearly defined to know what people not to trust, or who not to trust, based on the religion they follow. So we don't know, as a people, when the enemies can come in and infiltrate under the guise of religion. It was clearly defined back then. We knew what an enemy looked like. And therefore, what? Spiritual garrisons were placed. Barriers were put in place to make sure that evil could never infiltrate us and destroy our people from the inside. So before the Gentiles took us down in 70 AD, brothers and sisters, the first infiltration was to convert us, to make us believe that their way of life was better, and to convince our people who once served the living God to begin, at that point, to turn Israel's back on God to serve lesser gods. That was the first level of warfare. That eventually it would lead to us letting our guard down. Now we have no spiritual protection. So it first start off with what? Understanding your enemy. So that brothers and sisters can understand what a spiritual infiltration looks like. What a spiritual you must know an enemy based on the gods they serve. What religion are you? Oh, well, I'm a Buddhist. Okay, you got the freedom of religion, but I know there's a demon in you. A demon that you've channeled through that religion that means That's right. That means me and my people harm. You may be a good guy. You may be a good person. But at any time you can be allowed to do what? Host a demon that attack my family. At any time. Based on your religious practices. Channeling, hitting that thing, opening your chakra and doing all these things. Guess what, folks? A spirit can come in at any time and now use that person to defy or destroy our people. And what our people don't know in America in particular is that we're under a spiritual attack that plays out real time geopolitically within our social construct. And I'm going to break that down. Hosea 4:6. Read that, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
Now, what knowledge do our people lack? First of all, the knowledge of yourself. If you know yourself, you can read in the Old Testament to understand your enemy. Now, Christ said, love your enemy. I can love you, but I don't have to trust you. And that's the problem with people today. They get those two confused. I can love you, but I'm not going to put you in position to compromise me and my people. I'm not going to trust you. Now, in Israel, the children of Israel did business with all different types of nations who served other gods and all that. But they knew not to allow these Gentiles to come in to destroy our political and our social construct. The Gentiles, yeah, you can support and do whatever you want to do, all right? Because we're going to keep you in order. But all in all, you're not going to bring Dagon and all these other Adrimelech and Moloch. You're not bringing those gods into our house. So our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The first knowledge you don't realize is that you are Israel. And as an Israelite, as God's people, there's a target on your head. So that's half the battle, to understand who you are, what race you are according to the Bible, and where you fit prophetically. And then, by default, knowing you're Israel, you read the Bible and realize what? Who your enemies are. Not that all races of people are against Israel, right? Because you can do what? The same way I can defy or I can step away from the sins of my forefathers who sinned against Israel or sinned against God and turn right towards the living power, so can the Gentiles. But the political construct in of itself is evil. It's a religious evil aimed towards destroying one particular people. Now, some people out there may wonder, why would a government construct seek to destroy our people, the children of Israel? Good question. Very good question. Why? These people aren't bothering anybody. We're just trying to survive. Why seek to destroy these people? Well, number one, we're prophesied to one day rule everything. That's number one. After the American and Roman Empire falls, we rule forever, according to the Bible. This is why Buddhists and Muslims and all these others don't want you in the Bible. Even Christians don't even want you in the Bible. Because the Bible shows favor to God's people. That's number one. But number two, we are the life source of every empire. It's through our soul, our spiritual life, our source. We're the batteries that fuel every empire on earth. And it's through the spirit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's through that strong spirit all nations have become blessed. Without us, there is no empire. See? So if they can't control that power, they'll seek to destroy it. See, Pharaoh would sometime have a change of heart, folks. Get him out of my country. Get him out of here. That God is plaguing the country. He would think one day, and then his counselors would come to him and say, well, listen, it's the Israelites who tend all the herd and all that here. So what of our crops? What of our society? How can we build in war against our enemies if we let these people go? These are special people who saved us through a famine. If we let them go, we lose our power because our power is an extension of these people. And then what? Pharaoh would harden his heart. I'm not letting them go. One day at first he realized, well, hold up. I don't need these people. I look down on these sheep herders anyway. But then his counselors would come up, his priests would come to him and say, well, listen, no Israelites in Egypt, no empire. It's these people who give Egypt notoriety, fame. That's right. It's these people who gives Egypt shine. So this is why the enemies are moving and looking to replace and do all these things right now. It's a social engineering that say, you know what? If we can't control them, we must get rid of them. Hence, the replacements. The replacements. Elder Lawyer, there's a movie that came out years ago. And the movie was World War Z. Where at the very end of this movie, all the zombies and all the people everywhere are triggered through some type of science in them, like zombies, and are coming up against a people in Jerusalem. After they have been, I would say, chemically induced, a good word, into totally changing their true genetic structure. Controlled beyond their own mental capacity, moving like zombies to destroy the children of Israel who are in the earth, in Israel, protected in towns without walls. World War Z. They're telling you out there what's going on. What would draw these people into straight zombie mode at the very end to come against a people in Jerusalem? Well, I digress. You know, that's on the back of our last couple of broadcasts. I guess I'll touch on this more so Sabbath. But what I really want to talk about, Elder Lawyer, is the replacements. I don't know if you realize, brothers and sisters, but Hollywood and all these other what you would call media conglomerates have shifted almost totally to Asia. The billboards, Asians. The billboards, Asians and other people, right up under our noses. There's something else going on. And I'm going to break it down to you all, folks. Unless they were successful with their first initiative in 2020, they would not have been able to accomplish what they are doing in replacing us now. See, these are steps. It's called social engineering. Right? It's called social engineering. There's a such thing as, brothers and sisters, a soft kill. A soft kill. And I'm going to talk about that today. There's other things also in warfare where you would have social disruption, as well as social and racial targeting. What we have to realize is what does that look like? What exactly does that look like? Social disruption, social and racial targeting, and who benefits in particular for those who replace us. Who benefits? Well, that and more we're going to unpack, right? That and more. Last week, Elder Lawyer, we left off. I'm going to pick it up from where we left off last week. Last week we left off, Elder Lawyer, with the Holy Bible translated from the ancient Eastern text. Now, there's nothing in this Bible that I can't break down in the King James Version Bible. All right? But it gives you more detail concerning Gog and Magog when it comes to our current language for what? The Gentile nations. Ham, Shem, or Japheth. Elder Lawyer, I need you to read Ezekiel 38:1 real quick. Out of the Bible first, the regular King James Version.
Yes, sir. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse number 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
And prophesy. So our God is saying prophesy against a particular people, folks. And guess what? This is why it's so important that our people understand where Israel, and we must understand biblically, prophetically, who are the other nations. Right? Because this may mean nothing to someone who don't understand race and the Bible. See? This may mean absolutely nothing to someone who don't understand the truth concerning race within the Bible. Right? Gog and Magog. Somebody, you tell a brother or sister on the corner or around the street that. What are you talking about, Gog? What? Listen, I'm trying to get my rent paid. No, I'm going to need you to focus. I'm going to need you to focus. Because you have to understand, according to God, who he said in the last days, who he told the prophets to prophesy against. These are enemies who are seeking to destroy us with soft kills. Ezekiel 38. Read that, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse number 1.
Yep.
And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
And prophesy against him. Right? Let me pull it up. Now, when you go here, right? Look what it says in the Eastern text. The Eastern text. The Eastern text says plainly, clearly, that Gog and Magog is who? Is who? Prophesy against China. prophesy against China. The children of Japheth, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, put hooks in his jaws and bring him back into the war. Why? Because China have been the silent partner of Esau for years. And to actually save the empire that have given China any level of recognition and power, they must come from behind the shadows to help Esau finish what the Roman Empire began with destroying the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They must come from behind the shadows. They've been softly doing it. And that's why it says, put hooks in their jaws. They can no longer hide their true intentions as an empire against God's people. We've just been sprinkling them around in the neighborhood a little bit. A laundromat here, a restaurant there, a hair supply, beauty supply store there. We've just been sprinkling them around silently without these people understanding the true mission that they've always had against the children of Israel. So what did Esau do, Elder Lawyer? Esau, he stepped away. The empire, the Edomites that are in position stepped away and say, we cannot be the face of this anymore. They can see us. Call in the replacements. Call in the replacements. And because Israel, God's people, are ignorant to who they are, God's people who we're seeking to destroy will help us replace them. How do we know that? I need y'all to check this out, folks. Check this out. Check this out. On your screen is what? Just celebrated his day. Great man, mind you. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, great man. And of course, the world, America celebrates him as a hero today. But in his day, the same government had nothing good to say about Martin Luther King. It was calling him a communist, an enemy, all types of stuff. Especially when he started talking reparations. When he started talking reparations, okay, that's not the plan. Now, civil rights, we can open you to civil rights because eventually we'll have our crazed liberals come in and infiltrate everything you're trying to do under the ambiguous term of civil rights. That's not specific for the same people who built the country. Right? Now, I'm going to show you something, Elder Lawyer. If it wasn't for this, there will be no such thing. If it wasn't for that, there will be no such thing as this. Look who the new protesters are. Look at this. How did we fall so far to allow this infiltration? Oh, yeah, there's nothing for black people in America. But federal agencies address Asian hate crimes. Where are these hate crimes? Where are these actually happening, folks? And that's why the Bible says, set your prophecy, set your eye on China. And guess what, folks? It's nobody's fault but ours. Who built the country, mind you, who suffered the greatest atrocity known to mankind under slave ships, built Wall Street, built this world that the immigrants have now flocked to, only so that we can participate as a people in our own demise. Why? Because we didn't know, we didn't understand prophecy. Instead of asking for something to maintain, a moral structure for our family, we agreed, brothers and sisters, to actually align ourselves with the degeneracy of the country. The degenerates. If we can put it under civil rights, they can actually put anyone under civil rights, even the degenerates, and align us with immorality. And a lot of our so-called leaders agreed to this for a paycheck. Federal agencies address Asian hate crimes. Now, if you think that's something, Elder Lawyer, check this out. Check this out. Because, look, they had us looking this way, right? They had us looking this way. And while we were looking that way, thinking that there would be some level of reciprocity or some hope out of this, right up under us, they did this. This was the first bill, hate crime bill, that Joe Biden passed after getting elected, to give our finances, our tax-paying money, not to stop the hate that led to George Floyd dying, but to put money to finance Asian hate crimes. I would submit, Elder Lawyer, that this is not really about Asian hate crimes. This is actually a way in which the government can actually fund a social army against us. People who are getting incentivized to come over and finish what Esau started in his war against Jacob. Look at this, folks. We got another one now. Another George Floyd. The case of Tyrese Nichols, a black man killed by cops in the U.S. And everyone is looking this way, and this is why I always highlight the narrative where it needs to stay focused. I always focused on what we need to see, not the incendiary spirit they're using with these cops and all these other things. Because when they have you looking one way, they're doing something else. They would have you look here, right? When we really should be looking here. As of what? January 18, 2023, folks. January 18, just a few days ago. The White House rolled out the first ever strategy to advance Asian American, Pacific Islanders, and Native Hawaiian communities Tuesday in a town hall online meeting as the country continues to grapple with the anti-Asian hate crimes. Now, what's deep about this being a federal agency address this, folks? They're only doing this so that federal money can get behind this. At the same time, we're discussing no justice, no peace, police killing black people. You would think they would look at a federal bill to finance our protection. No. So what was this? Folks, this is how they opened the door. Hence the reason Martin Luther King says after he realized the bills that were signed, I'm afraid that I've run my people into a burning house. Into a burning house. I'm afraid that I was tricked into running my people into a burning house. Because I didn't know that we would have to align ourselves politically with everything that's wrong with the world to get anything. Other races of people can come from poor peasant areas in Ireland and all that and come over here and get set up without compromising their morality and stances. He set up something, they set up something that will allow what? An inside infiltration of others. Now, why I'm going here? I'm going here now, folks, because while they got us looking there, this is where we should be looking. New California law allows non-U.S. citizens to become police officers. The same time, folks, they have you looking what? At the same time, they have us looking here. Folks, I submit the only reason they're highlighting this so that we can be so upset with black cops, we will now accept the replacements who has no interest at all in our longevity, our health, our family. What better way to infiltrate or destroy a people than to have others come from third world countries to police us? Now, if you think there was no grace under these guys, if you believe that we can be utterly destroyed under our own people, what do you think is about to happen with this law? With other states adopting this? And you would never guess who will soon be policing us. The victims. The victims. Everything is strategic. Everything. So they're going to highlight the story about cops, about police. Folks, I'm going to show y'all something. They're going to highlight about police so that black people will be like, listen, I don't even trust our own to police us. We can't even trust our own. And you know what? You know the Hegelian dialectic. Oh, we see the problem. And don't worry about it. There's a built-in solution. They just got off the bus. Here it is. Our people are suffering, Elder Lawyer. Our people are suffering. Without jobs. High homelessness, getting put out of homes. But they have work for everyone else. So who's behind this? See, I like to tie all these loose ends together so that brothers and sisters can see things as they are and understand why it's so. Nothing is by chance. Nothing is by happenstance. Everything we're seeing, the social engineering of other people that are over banks now, when you walk in there in your stores, even the low menial jobs, you'll see them. Why? Because they can actually financially aggrandize themselves exponentially in America compared to the low end, low end countries they come from. And they're willing to do anything to get a slice of that pie. Even if it means stepping on us, folks. Psalms 83, Elder Lawyer. Let's put it in context now.
Yes, sir.
Psalms 83.
All right. The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse number 1.
Come on.
Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people,
Hold
and
up,
consulted
Brother Lawyer.
against thy hidden ones.
Hold up. I need that. They have taken what?
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people,
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. These are government conversations. High level government conversations. They have taken crafty counsel. They have sat down and say, well, listen, if we engage them directly, they'll know they're in a war. Embrace themselves and rally together. We must do what? We must do a crafty war with them for the same outcome. We'll still get rid of them, but it must be crafty. The battle must be what? Indirect warfare. So it must be social warfare. We have to starve them out without them actually realizing they're being starved out. We have to cut them off without actually having them understand it's us. And a matter of fact, we'll throw them a few bones, a few dollars. They'll even help us cut them off. Crafty counsel. So we have to bank on a certain number of their people. A certain number of their people, the disloyal amongst them, will bank on. The small minority who are willing to sell out their own families. Crafty counsel. Verse, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Psalms chapter 83, verse number 4.
Yeah.
In fact, picking up at verse number 3.
Yeah.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones.
And it says consulted against the hidden ones because our people have no idea that we're the children of God and the other nations hid that history from us. Because with that knowledge, anyone can connect the dots. We can all connect the dots. Once you put a label of the children of Israel on the slaves and those who built the country, everything else makes political sense. We can compare how they went against Christ and wanted him dead. We can now compare how the Egyptians wanted Moses dead and wanted to target them from the womb of their mothers. Knowing prophetically that what? It was prophesied out of the ancient records that we would one day stand up tall, taller than them all, towering the same Gentiles who enslaved us. So it says they consulted against the hidden ones. So they would set up institutions, religious institutions, and all that. Gentile institutions as a buffer to keep us from ever understanding the history they hid from us. Because once I know I'm Israel, the gig is up. The only thing I have to do is go into the Bible to identify my spiritual enemies. Right? Come on.
Verse 4. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation.
From being a what?
From being a nation.
From being a nation. These people can never know that they're really one nation of people that was once under God as the 12 tribes of Israel. We must set up throughout the world institutions to keep them from this information. Because once that's done, the gig is up. Come on.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. We tell them if they read the Bible, they're spiritual Israelites. It doesn't matter. We don't know where Israel is. It doesn't matter. Right? If you believe in Jesus, you Israel. They'll muddy the waters, because once we know where Israel, everything else makes sense. And through us understanding this, yes, I can love my enemy. I don't hate anyone, but I'm not going to trust you. So whatever you peddling, peddle to your family, peddle to your people. Okay? Now, speaking of peddling, Elder Lawyer, I need you to go to I need you to go real quick to Luke, where it actually talks about the desolation. Because brothers and sisters don't know that we were prophesied to be under a desolation. What's a desolation? An organized government plan to eradicate any trace or genetics of the children of Israel off the earth. Because they understood, brothers and sisters, that we would one day wake up. Okay? Their lies beget lies, beget lies. And eventually, the Most High would do what? He would send a resonating signal through the darkness to do what? To awaken his people. See? So they knew that we would wake up, but they just had to buy it enough time to put a system in place that could totally finish the desolation. And folks, unbeknownst to our people who are ignorant to this, we're under it. We're at the tail end of it. And they would not have been able to accomplish what they accomplished if we didn't fall for what they did in 2020. Now I'm going to show you some buzzwords that if you understood the enemy, when you hear these buzzwords in media, on TV, online, if you hear coming from an organized institution or media outlet, these particular words, know that they are know that they are about to attack and who they are about to attack. Here's the buzzwords. We need to do something for the underprivileged. Because automatically what that does in of itself, it single one people out of society to be targeted. Now we think they're singling us out to help us. Because why? If you're an equitable, rich country with the power to feed all people, there should be no underprivileged. You would just make laws to make sure all people are taken care of. See? So when you hear these buzzwords of underprivileged, know that there's an initiative going out to attack the people who are underprivileged. How do you know this? Well, no one questions how these people became underprivileged. Well, it's systematic. See? So when you hear these words, politically and otherwise, know the people that are about to get attacked. Oh, I want to go over Africa and help the underprivileged. Oh, you talking about like Madonna, who's now, and the media now is trying to sweep that under the rug. She's over there and turned those little boys out and did all types of stuff allegedly over in Africa to the point where she can't even go in certain parts. They're trying to get her out of Africa with what she's doing with children, allegedly. But no, she's there to help the underprivileged. That was a target. Another word, another buzzword that if you hear this, know that you are about to be attacked. and who they are attacking. The disproportionately affected, or the disproportionately marginalized. See, these are buzzwords. Another buzzword. Because what they want to do for these people who don't have enough help, instead of reparations and doing the right thing like you would do for those who suffered over there in World War II, and the Japanese people who were put in internment camps, the real thing to do if you want to help on the privilege is to throw money at them like you do other races of people. Okay? Now, the word they'll use before attacking these people is buzzword. I'm helping you out here. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Listen up. I'm here to make you safe. It's safe. When you hear this word, know that whatever they're talking about will do the exact opposite according to the Bible. Elder Lawyer, let's go to where it says, when they shall say peace and safety.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. And then we're going back to Psalms 83.
Yes, sir. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse number 2.
1
For
Thessalonians,
yourselves know-
here's the Bible, tipping you all up, giving you some insight on the conspiracy and the crafty counsel of your enemy. Read.
1 Thessalonians 5 and 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night.
Come on.
For when they shall say peace and safety.
When they shall say what?
Peace and safety.
When they shall say peace and safety.
Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
And they shall not escape. If they say peace and safety, if you fall for the campaigns for peace or to make you safe, you'll die. The crafty counsel is to coax you into believing that whatever campaign that's being rolled out is there to help you. Oh yeah, I'm here to make you safe. And the next thing you know, dropping like flies. Let's go back to Psalms 83 and 4.
Yes, sir. Psalms chapter 83, verse number 4.
Yep.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. I'm going to show you that this is a military operation under satanic governments. 5, let's read it.
Yes, sir. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
And they are confederate against thee. Can you imagine me going over in one of them, their country, one of these other countries where the replacements are, and set up my own shop and say, I'm here to give you peace and safety? Can you imagine? Think about this in reverse. Would they allow what's going on amongst our people? Would they allow us for our people to go to their country and do that amongst them? Then it breaks down the enemies. Read the 6th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom, the so-called European, Rome. Even in the Jewish encyclopedia, it states that Edom is the Roman Empire. And who?
And the Ishmaelites.
The Arabs, the 12 princes of the United Emirates, Saudi Arabia. Arabs. The Edomites are over modern day satanic pagan Christianity, and the Ishmaelites are over the ancient Babylonian Persian mythology renamed Islam. See? And they came drawing swords to convert us into these religions. Only to do what? To have a political stake into keeping the oath. Let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. And who?
And the Ishmaelites
And the Ishmaelites
of Moab
of Moab. Moab are the modern day Palestinians. That's why you will never see me marching around saying free Palestine and help Palestine. Because why? If you lay down with snakes, you get bit. And when they fell on our people, when the Romans came against our people, Moab and Ammon shut the gates for the Israelites that were left in Jerusalem so that they can destroy us. We thought you were our cousins. We thought you were our neighbors. And when the Romans came with the swords, you shut the gates and had them kill our men, women, and children. And now that's what's going on in Palestine right now. You lay down with snakes, you get bit. You thought Esau wasn't going to double cross you? So our God, it tell you in Amos and other records of the Old Testament, our God have a hand on Edom to come against Moab and Ammon for what you did with us, against us. Even during the time in Medina, Muhammad, when our people didn't accept Islam as the new religion, they took about 700 of us, men, women, and children, and killed every man, woman, and child who wouldn't bow their knee and confess that Muhammad was the prophet over the new religion, Islam. At the markets of Medina, they killed men, women, and children, upwards 700 to 800 of us, because we wouldn't bow to a lesser religion. The tabernacles of Edom. Now God is identifying those who conspiring in silence to keep us in captivity, to keep us lower, in a lower degree, so that they can use us like batteries. So that they can I would say hold their status in the earth and show their power by how low they've made us, or how low we've become. This is how the nations judge their power or status in the earth, by how low they keep us. And then it goes all the way down, all of these nations, David pointed out, that would persecute us. And now, China, let me go here. Now, China have come from behind the shadows. And that's why it says, I'm going to put hooks in your jaws, because China have been their silent partner the whole time in destroying our people. And guess what, Elder Lawyer? They knew one day we would start putting this together, so Biden got in front of it. The first thing he did, knowing that we would figure this out and start to fight back, like, hold up. How is it that George Floyd died, and the first money you throw at any hate crimes are Asian people? But Biden got in front of it, Elder Lawyer. You know why? Because he know when our people when we finally begin to wake up to what they've done to us, then the people who are left within these cities are going to go ape, and they know it. So they put laws in place already for when we finally figure out that we have been double-crossed, that they've used us to vote in the Democrat Party to replace, so that others can replace and destroy us inwardly. Right? Now there's more, Elder Lawyer. Some people ask,
Sir.
what is the end game? The end game was written of in Daniel when it talks about the desolation. Let's go to the desolation in the book of Daniel, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. We're in the book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse number 24.
Daniel 9. Let me get it so that they all can see it, okay? And then we're going to open up the lines in a minute. I'm not going to be here long tonight because I want to talk about this. I want to hear your perspectives. Daniel's 9 and 25 reads what?
Yes, sir. Starting in verse 24.
24. Let's go.
Yes, sir. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy.
And to anoint the most holy. Come on. So it tell you 70 weeks are determined. So this is a time period. 70 weeks. So what must happen within that time? Read.
25. Know therefore and understand that the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks.
Shall be 7 weeks. Read.
And 62 in 2 weeks.
And
the street shall
in 2 weeks. Read.
The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times.
Even in troublous times. Read.
26. And after 62 in 2 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself.
That's Christ dying for the sins of our people. Read.
Mm-hmm. And the people of the Prince shall come
Hold
and
up.
destroy
The people
the
of the
city.
what? The people of the what?
And the people of the Prince.
The people of the Prince are the Roman Empire. What prince they serve? The Prince of Darkness, Satan. It's speaking of the Roman Empire. And the people of the Prince, what prince? The Prince of Darkness, Lucifer, their god. Another name they have for him, Samael, the god of Esau. The same evildoer who did what? Who planted the tree of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. And the people of the Prince, read.
Right. And if I can mention also, Christ refers to him as the Prince of this world.
And Christ refers to him as the Prince of this world. Thank you, other lawyer. Come on.
Yes, sir. And the people of the Prince that shall come shall destroy the city.
Shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And folks, it just wasn't Esau behind this. He conspired with all the nations to make sure Jerusalem was destroyed. This is how we fled into Africa. This is how we got into Africa in Numbers. Read.
And the people of the Prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined.
Desolations are determined. But we, our people in particular don't have the understanding geopolitically of how these particular desolations are determined. We don't see that the campaigns they aim towards our people are a part of this desolation. We think that people are just trying to help us, when really they're trying to finish the prophecy under the Prince of Darkness. The desolation is the depopulation of the prophetic people who was prophesied to rule over the world. So they must come up with campaigns, science, and all these other things to get us what? To make us complicit with our own demise. With our own demise. And read the 27th verse, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week.
What covenant?
And in the midst of the...
What covenant, folks? The covenant through Christ's blood. It gives us another opportunity at power, at rulership. Esau know he's at the end of his world. This is why he've called in the replacements, the reinforcements, to finish what he couldn't do in 70 AD. This is why he'll incentivize strangers from other countries, East India, Asia, and all that, who have no stake in this country at all, over you. This is why. Because they are in agreement with this against our people. Because they serve the dragon over there in China. Read on.
Yes, sir. Verse 27. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate.
He said this is going to go down all the way until the consummation. The nations will conspire. They will consult with one consent to get rid of us one generation to the next without our people even recognizing it. The replacements are here, folks. And not only are they here, they're politically protected to become social mercenaries against our people at a time in which we're sick and broken. I wonder who helped get us sick, and I wonder who helped break us. New California law allows non-U.S. citizens to become police officers. So they got you looking here with these police officers, folks, so that we can accept this. Soon you're not going to see any local police officers that any of us can relate to in our communities. And if you think black people getting killed by cops or whatever the case is, what we're complaining about now is an issue, well, these people have no vested interest in us at all. And a matter of fact, suppose they hire people. They already, we always talk about the white supremacy, how the KKK get enrolled in the police so that they can exercise their racism out on the streets against us. Well, what about if these people over these third world countries who have a caste system that their society readily accepts? The darker people accept being treated like nothing in their country. Suppose some of them get over here in your police force. Right? Now, I say it starve out, Elder Lawyer, earlier. Because in order for them to do this, they had to do what? I'm going to systematically break it down. They had to break down the family structure of Judah in America, the black man and black woman, leading up to March 2020, where there'll be no help one for another. Now, what happened after 2020? A built-in excuse. People lost jobs. People couldn't pay the rent. All of the corporate structures were actually what? All the corporate jobs were actually reconfigured. At the same time that they were doing a whole reconstruction of the corporate structure within the United States and the world. And then out of that, the replacements started flooding in. Now, folks, I need y'all to hear this, and I need you to hear this good. They separated the families, Elder Lawyer. And what they did to make the black man angry, I'm going to use that in particular, Judah, they started giving all the good jobs for years, from the 90s, 2000s, the mid-2000s, to predominantly our sisters. Right? Where men couldn't, not in number, walk in pride concerning income. A man that isn't needed to provide isn't a man. Right? So they did that initially to separate the households where man and woman would argue over who controls the house or money. Now, back then, it wasn't like that. Back then, it wasn't like that. We understood, educated or not, that our money was for the household, the future of our children, and the education had nothing to do with it. That there was a structure where, what? A man led the household. But they did something. In order for them to take us out to eventually get to our children and destroy them, they had to socially engineer, a slow socially engineer, crafty counsel, the woman and the man apart from one another. Right? Now what we have. Now what do we have? Look at this clearly. I want to show this. I'm going to show you how they've done this and where we are now and what to do about it. USA Today, Elder Lawyer. USA Today. They ain't trying to act like these things are just coming out of the clear blue, just something they just don't realize. Now they want to aim towards, why? All of the desk jobs they have that used to be occupied by sisters, they have moved East Indians and Asians, no matter the persuasion or no matter the race, man or woman, into these corporate positions. So they can now attack the financial status of our women. An eviction crisis for black women, USA Today. Now I'm going to show you how they socially engineer this, folks. Imagine you missed a rent payment. Now, of course, they're going through this after the reconstruction of corporations after March 2020, when they made people believe that things would go back to normal. Gave you stimulus checks and all that, thinking that you're not going to have to pay anything when it's all said and done. Things will go back to normal. I'll go back to business as usual. Maybe you lost your job. I wonder why. Or you had some car trouble. Or you got sick. Any of these reasons could become grounds of an eviction. Now, no other people are singled out based on them being female and black when it comes to other races. You'll never see an article like this on Chinese women or white women or any other ethnicity or Arab women. They've created a separate social status for our women. If you're a black woman in the United States, your chance of being evicted is higher than any other demographic. Now look, you try to talk to your landlord, right? You move out, you fight the eviction, you run into some snags along the way. You show up in court and your landlord has an attorney and you do not. 90% of landlords have legal representation compared to 10% of tenants. How do you wish to respond? I try to give my landlord partial rent. See, this was the play when they rolled out, Elder Lawyer, feminism. They knew eventually they would make such a toxic environment between black man and black woman, but there would be no one to save our sisters at the end of it if there was a participation in the social engineering.
Right.
The effects on you and your family can be devastating. Now you notice it's showing family with no man there. This is what they social engineered. Now, it puts you at risk of ending up homeless, in prison, or dead. This was the plan, folks. But then, folks, I need y'all to show this. When it comes time to show the image of the people who will be getting the subsidies and the finances for what she went through, and I love all the 12 tribes. Listen, I'm down with our people. But they don't show her getting the subsidies. They show the immigrants. Because they're letting you know, you may go hard in the paint for them, but at the end, the money's going into the replacements. Look at this, brothers and sisters. The growing racial, now this is National Library of Medicine, folks. Okay, I pull out a lot of this research for the academy and do things like that. But I need to give y'all a window into the perspectives we bring in such a short amount of time, folks, in connecting these dots. The growing racial and ethnic divide in U.S. marriage patterns. When you go here, brothers and sisters, right, they break it down all the way down, right? But I need y'all to see something real quick, right? Let me show y'all this. One second, lawyer. You went out a little bit. Where are you? All right. Hold on. Oh, there you go. You went down. Oh, that's what happened. One moment. All right. Here we go. 1 second, folks. All right, that's good. Now, let me go here real quick to show you. I need y'all to check this out. Because under the National Library, under the National Library of Medicines, when you go down here and it talks about the growing racial and ethnic divide in U.S. marriage patterns, they've been studying their social engineering of separating our people. You want to destroy a family and desolate them and destroy them outright? You would bring a divide that would lead to what? The family no longer existing. That's social warfare, right? And they even went into this: black and white differences in marriage and marital stability, right? Now, let's talk about the contemporary differences. Check this out. There's a study. At the same time, racial and ethnic differences in marriage are striking. The median age at first marriage is roughly 4 years higher. 4 years higher for black than for white women. Right? At first marriage is roughly 4 years higher for black than white women. 30 versus 26 years. Respectively, in 2010, all ages of black Americans display lower marriage rates than do other racial and ethnic groups. Consequently, a far lower proportion of black women have married at least once by age 40. Our tabulations of data from the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey for 2008 to 12 show that nearly 9 out of 10 white and Asian Pacific Island women had ever been married by their early 40s, as had more than 8 in 10 Hispanic women and more than 3/4 of American Indian Native Alaskan women, yet fewer than 2/3 of black women. Less than 2/3 of black women reported having married at least once by the same age. So they socially engineered this, folks, because at one time there was no divorce amongst us, and we married at a higher clip, 80% than any other ethnicity in America. So they purposely sold a bill of goods that would have it where there's no protection for our sisters in the community, and there will be no one who want to protect them. That's how they socially engineer it. While they bring in the replacements to police our neighborhoods. At the same time, Biden, who came up with the crime bill, construct a new way to incarcerate those that are left, or the men that are left, or at least the ones who haven't been feminized. Now, here's the issue. Now. Bear with me. The issue is, if they have this data, folks, concerning the separation, homelessness, total destruction, degradation. If you type in Section 8, homelessness, there's a war on sisters, single sisters in particular, and there will be no one there to help them. There'll be no one there outside of them cleaving to some type of construct or community that can actually help as we go along. Okay? Like churches. But all in all, brothers and sisters, they're dropping sisters from the corporate structure who once had those high-end jobs and replacing them with Asians, throwing them back into a impoverished state with no answers. This is what you call, folks, a desolation. And then on the other hand, lawyer, I'm going to show you how they engineered this. On the other hand, because men are fed up, who would normally be there, it was all socially engineered. Black men, we need to leave America. At the same time, there's a movement for brothers to leave the country to find traditionally minded women. Traditionally minded, they just want people with a family. Now, the difference between the men that Biden is talking about locking up, these are men with upward mobility. These are men that have the wherewithal and finances to go other places. And they no longer want to participate with the social engineered families that they're actually forced, or they feel forced to deal with. A relationship where there's no cooperation. You got to argue over everything. And when you just want marriage and you just want a simple life. Well, the men with upward mobility, it was engineered because they knew it would come a time when men would say enough is enough. I can't be getting locked up. I can't be getting dragged into this place to do this all the time. I'm tired. They knew that at the same time that they were bringing the replacements to replace our women, that the men would be seeking other places. And at the end of the day, it's sad. Why? Because the true aim is not the man and woman or the adult at all. It's your offspring. What of the children? Now that there's total separation, where we've been social engineered into not even being able to stand one another. This is where we are, folks. And it's not about right or wrong or where, folks. I'm putting this out so that we can make choices now, knowing that there's no recovering Babylon. There's no recovering this. It's too far gone. They did so many, folks. There was they fixed so many of their social mechanisms or their social attacks during that 2020 thing, and got the ball rolling. They say, okay, sisters, we already got your men, but we about to attack you now. There's only limited jobs, and that's what. We're opening the borders to all these East Indians and other people, Asia and and they're going to have the desk jobs, the bank jobs, and all these other things. And hey, this was the plan the whole time. At the same time, men are walking out of the door and saying, I don't want what they're forced on us. That's the plan. We don't want the conflict anymore. We don't want the conflict anymore. We're walking away. So this is going to lead to a social cataclysm of biblical proportions. Folks, think about it. Let me go through it. New California law can now allow non-U.S. citizens to become police officers. These are going to be your new reporters, folks. Here are your new reporters now, right in plain sight. It all started here with civil rights, only for them to infiltrate, to have federal law passed. Joe Biden, about $60 million off the rip after he was voted in. He put money towards Asian hate crimes. After he was voted off of the backs of a black man getting killed by a police. You would think the first crime bill, federal money, would go towards protecting black people. Well, no. Old Joe is doubling down on his 1994 crime bill because he wants these guys to police our neighborhoods. At the same time, family is utterly divided. Utterly divided. So now we're going to talk about, now that we understand the replacements, what must we do? Folks, it doesn't matter how we got here. The reality of where we are, folks, is the desolation. It's social engineering without picking up one gun, without firing one bullet. It's social engineering that would lead to what? In the world, it's really setting a society where people would self-delete themselves. It will be self-deletion. The only hope we have is to not think about how we got here and to start doing right, fall to our knees, ask the Most High to forgive us of our sins and all the evil participation we had in our own demise, and come under some level of order with the Almighty, with His laws. This hatred we have against ourselves was engineered. They have used money to separate us. Elder Lawyer, I see this thing, and I'm going to talk about this next week. They have this thing online where they ask sisters, well, what are you looking for in a man? And I hear these people, these sisters, out of their minds, knowing where they came from, stating, well, he have to at least have what I have or six figures. And I'm shaking my head like, Lord, is that a requirement? If you put your brains together, you can make six figures. The love of money is the root of all evil. The greatest commodity isn't money at all. The greatest commodity are people. And I'm shaking my head. I'm like, don't she understand that she's going to age out of that requirement? When you're living in a country where the median income is about $42,000 to $43,000, where do you find this unicorn? Where do you find this fairy tale that some guy making six figures is going to pop out of nowhere? And if he have these options, what makes you think out of all the women who want six figures, he's going to choose you? And I'm shaking my head. I'm like, how far we've fallen. With the boots near the door, a woman is going to need a breathing male. A breathing male in proximity to defend her. And how much he make, guess what? That's going to pale in comparison to what he can do to protect you. I seen that and I'm like, Lord, how long are we going to go along with our own demise? The first thing she stated is that he have to make six figures. I'm like, sis, y'all don't understand the reality of where this America have been socially engineered. They're prepping. They're prepping the world to accept homeless sisters. USA Today. They're socially engineering America into accepting the fact that soon we are to expect black women on the street without thinking anything of it. For years, we've come accustomed to accepting men altogether as those that are normally, sleeping on sidewalks. Well, no, folks. Here's the plan. It's time to adjust our expectations for what's to come. We're under a desolation. This is USA Today, folks. They sold a lie. They slowly, socially engineered Judah, the man, and a daughter of Zion away from one another. USA Today, they're saying, listen, you're getting out of these offices. Okay? A matter of fact, use your app. You're not going to be needed behind these counters at the banks anymore. Oh no, you're not going to be needing these convenience stores and these other stores, retail, because we're going more so online. And now brothers usually in this situation, elder lawyer, a brother with upward mobility would just choose a good woman within his community. But any man now who have the means to travel is saying they're out. And while they're leaving, and now the women are left to go homeless, what's going on now? I can show you. They said, guess what? The replacements. And with these replacements, folks, they're coming over with family intact. Family intact. Already they're in a socially, when it comes to the family, advantaged position coming in to America with the mindset of family first. Against us, we have no chance. We have no chance. So here's the question we're going to put out there. Not blaming anyone. We're going to say, I'm going to ask outright, who benefits the most from us, from the what I would call here the replacement project? Who benefits the most with them replacing us? And what are we willing to do together as a people to survive the desolation? Great questions. What are we willing to do? And you notice this campaign, based on some of the stats I'm pulling up and all that, they don't care your religion. They don't care about whether or not you're an atheist. This is a strategic target against a specific bloodline. The bloodline they knew in the very end would oppose their evil and bring again Jacob and bring the world back to the true and living God. And you notice they don't care about what you believe. This is a strategic attack against a specific bloodline. So it's time we get back on code with God, right? What are we willing to do to survive the desolation? Elder Lawyer, anything before I open up the lines here?
Yes, sir. I'll simply read Luke 21 since we're holding it.
Yes.
And then afterwards we can open up the lines.
Luke 21, the desolation that was prophesied in the New Testament. Because when it talks about the desolation that would until it's accomplished or the consummation, people fail to realize the desolation didn't stop at 70 AD. The governments of the world are still coming up with new ways to destroy the children of Israel. We have to stop being complicit and agreeing with our own downfall. Read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. St. Luke chapter 21, verse number 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Read that last piece again.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Woe to them who are with child, and will give suck in that day. And you know the prophets were able to see into a time where they would target children before they had an opportunity to be born. Woe to them that give suck in that day. Read.
For there shall be great distress in the land,
and
wrath upon this people.
And wrath upon this people. Now, folks, what you didn't know probably is that those who really suffered the desolation, those who suffered the desolation of 70 AD, were those who didn't listen, or those who thought it couldn't happen to them. The Most High sent signs in Jerusalem, and guess what? Our people ignored the signs and continued as if judgment wasn't at the door. See? They continue. We were warned up until the last minute, folks, and our people didn't listen. It ain't going to happen to me. We're going to always be here. How can God ever do this to us? And Christ said, listen, after I die soon, they're going to destroy Jerusalem. They're going to come after all of the people because Israel must fulfill what? being scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So the same with this desolation of 70 AD, folks. The majority of people who's going to suffer of our people, of when it comes to believers also, are those who don't take heed to the warnings and apply themselves with a covering. I'm going to tell you that right now, folks. The first thing we have to do as a people, we have to leave all pagan churches and temples. There's a stronghold on our spirit. We have to leave those places. We have to leave it, because this is where government socially engineer you into believing, believe it or not, there's government influence in these places who force you into trusting, that's right, all the initiatives that have been destroying our people. The first thing when they roll out a campaign, the first thing they do is put a pastor in front of you as the Pied Piper. And you say, that's a man of God. I must trust him. If he's going to do it, or if he believes this, he'll never lead me astray. Well, listen, you're not supposed to trust any church who would push government initiatives, because why? You can't have it two ways. You can't say that the Bible should be taken out of the schools because there's a separation of church and state, but then push political agendas in the church. You can't have it both ways. So the same people that are telling you your children shouldn't learn about God in school have come into your church to push an initiative. And you can't see that they are a part of the desolations over your people, on your people. You can't have it both ways. A separation of church and state should be just that there's no political influence whatsoever on God's people in churches. So the first thing our people need to do is walk away, because you know why you're following what they're saying? You believe God is directing you in to do something. You trust it because your pastor is saying it, not realizing that this is where they're pushing most of their initiatives to destroy us. Anything else, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Just one more verse. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And that we're going to be destroyed, planned against, harmed by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Folks, we're at the end of Gentile rule. So they have just amped up their campaigns to destroy us. Brothers and sisters, so we can't be complicit to our own downfall. We can't be complicit to it. We have to understand what the replacements are here to do. The same thing the Roman Empire did in 70 AD. And none of you can say you weren't warned. None of you can claim that. Hit the like button for me, please. We're about 1,000 likes down. All right, Elder Lawyer, would you like to open up the calls here?
Yes, sir. Let's open up the calls.
All right, one moment.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Unmuted.
Okay, we're live. If you have something to say about this particular topic, the replacements, the floor is yours. But understand they're here and they're not going anywhere. They aren't going anywhere. They're here with a specific purpose of replacing our people and to replace those who believe in God. Even if you're not an Israelite, they're looking to replace replace those who believe in Christ. They're coming here with their pagan gods, their demons, their spirits, and their pharmakeia to give you a dose of goodness, if you want to believe that. Sunshine, where you been at, young lady?
Hi. Hello? Hello?
Hey, Sunshine, let's go. Talk to us.
Hi. Oh, shalom. Hi, Elder.
Shalom.
Hi. Hello. Hi.
Come on, you're
Elder?
taking up people's
Hello?
time now. Come on.
Okay. Okay, Elder. This topic rings so true because the habit is in this world is to expect the automatic compliance of Israel as we are asleep or we're asleep. And with this compliance, there's also the expectation that we should love and trust blindly and only focus on the false nuggets in front of us, such as like the health care and the stimulus checks and the relief of rent that appear to help us but really don't, and ignore the things that are in front of us that are meant to, what these nuggets are meant to do, and ahead of us, and keep us still, complacent in our lowered state, and not desiring to act or motivate or ultimately destroy us. And all of this is to benefit Rome and its henchmen. But the prophecies are unfolding before our eyes, and those that have been quiet and infiltrating and pressing into our neighborhoods and in our lives in the years of conspiracy are being revealed. And we are now seeing in real time the stripping away of the blinds and coverings of all those who are a part of this conspiracy that amount to an entire socio-political construct built on that man of sin. So all those hand in hand with that man of sin as part of those that were against us, who even from now, from then to now are known as the Antichrist that were mentioned, are coming from behind that veil, and whether or not they want to, they're prune hooked into this war and from the darkness, and now we can see them through the light of Christ, so they can't hide, and there's nothing new under the sun, such as the recycle strategies that they're putting up pictures for us to react to, only to hit us on the blind side and further penetrate into our communities, and hit us all on each side like they did in Masada, and they create that dissonance and discord amongst our communities and extend this discord far past our communities to the communities that are nations within Babylon, and they nurse the climate of violence and racial tensions and disrupt the operations of the land where we reside, especially in America, and create a social and economic disaster, rallying the Gentiles against us in this Babylon melting pot, who believed everything and everyone was equal at one point in that false equality mindset. And into that mindset, they now move it to hate and contempt for us, and who were considered their once black friends. And even on top of this, calling the nations together, also from foreign lands, to now come with military strength against us in this new world system by flooding in those reinforcements from Europe all the way to Asia. So they're trying to cut us off from being a nation, as Elder Lawyer said, to utterly crumble our communities, starting with the men. And now the once coddled women, black women, are now feeling the brunt of this. But the wonderful thing about watching everything in this devious and deliberate plot that's faulty in every one of its moves on the chessboard is that by grace of the Most High in Christ, a remnant can see all that's coming, and whatever it is from the dark places that were hid, and the remnant only, they can see the zombies afoot. And with the medical impositions that are against us, and we can see their desperation in every single move against God's people. And so, seeing all through Christ by grace, those who endure and hold families sacred are bold to stand in truth, and to stand without the fear being in bonds, but only fear and wisdom to the God we serve, and also knowing that the deliverance from the North Country is near to come. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister
Praise
Shine.
the Most
Great.
High. Oh,
Fantastic.
praise the Most High.
Hey, guess what? She laid it out. She laid it out. She quantified it in a timely fashion. Thank you, Sunshine. That was absolutely great. And she's right. And you got frustrated men, and she said at one point they coddled women just long enough until they seen the barometer of where men were, and say, well, okay, let's now swing the paradigm where we're going to force women into homelessness. Now, of course, they have a solution for that. The solution is you can stay. We'll provide homes for you and your family under a socialistic society, but you must take the mark of the beast. That's going to be a solution when we go into, that's right, a paperless society. So they got a solution. And this is how they're going to get a lot of our people to choose either what? The mark of the beast or homelessness. How many years have we talked about this with our teachings from the street, 2008, 2009, path to the mark, and we're finally here. I can see exactly how it's going to go down. They're going to take away Section 8. They're going to take away welfare, all of those other things, the social programs, and now there's no man in sight. Here they come with the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. Would you like to be chipped? You'll be able to go into your Amazon supermarket and get anything you want, and no one have to know anything. You don't have to tell anybody you did it. The same way in 2020, you didn't tell anyone you did it. That's between you and us. That's government or doctor privilege. And this is how it's going to go down, folks. 706 area code. Uh, 705 area code. Anthony has a question.
Shalom, elders. Shalom, brothers and sisters.
Shalom, Anthony. You have a question and a comment, actually.
Yes. Question will come after, but my first comment will be about the 7 fire prophecies. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
The what?
The 7 fire prophecies.
Okay, what scripture?
Native American Anishinaabe prophecies.
Hold up. What scripture is that?
It's not a scripture. It was mouth to ear prophecy that was given to Gadites.
Okay, and what is it?
It was basically the fall of our people.
Okay.
If you want to hear about it, I could start with the 4th fire prophecy.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
There were 7 fire prophecies that were given to our people before the light-skinned race came in.
You mean before Edom came over?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
I'll start with the 4th fire, where it says, you will know the future of our people by the face of the light-skinned race wears. If they come wearing a face of brotherhood, then they will come in time of wonderful change for our generations to come. They will bring knowledge and articles that can be joined with the knowledge of his country. In this way, 2 nations will join to make a mighty nation. This nation will be joined to 2 more. 4 will form in the mightiest nation of all. You will know the face of the brotherhood of the light-skinned race, coming carrying no weapons, and only bearing knowledge in the handshake. But there was a beware to this. For the light-skinned race comes wearing a face of death. You must be careful because of the face of the brotherhood the face of brotherhood and the face of death will look very much alike. If they come carrying weapons, beware. If they come in suffering, they could fool you. Their hearts may be filled with greed and riches of the land. They are indeed your brothers who will prove it. Do not accept them in total trust. And then they go on and explain the 5th fire, our great struggle, and the promises that they gave to our people, but they are all false promises and led to our near destruction.
Okay.
which I thought was really interesting because you were talking about how they wanted to help us, but that cup of life almost became a cup of grief.
Okay. Well,
Yes, and
you know what? It's good to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Elder Lawyer, let's get their words were smoother than butter or oil.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it real quick. Let's go to Psalms 55 and see. I'm glad there's a lot of prophecies that the ancient wise men of Gad left. Even I don't know if you you know about the Hopi prophecies, right?
No.
Yeah, but there's many prophecies, but there's no prophecies on earth that can clearly define and bring all those things together. Even what you've just mentioned, than the Bible itself. Right? Because in a nutshell, Psalms say the same thing. And Psalms 55, let me get it right here. In Psalms 55, right? I'll read it real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
And 20 says, here your conspirators, he hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He have broken his covenant. That means there's no peace treaty this guy will make that could actually stay intact. He'll break every peace treaty because he has what? An overall objective or agenda at the end of it. It's not for peace. It's the New World Order. It's to rule everyone. But, you know, he'll temporarily sign a covenant until he find a way to actually destroy you. 21.
Yes.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Same thing you were saying. But war was in his heart. The words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. See? So the Bible breaks down Esau's true objective because why? It's Esau's position to rule the earth. He feel entitled to it being the firstborn of Isaac. Right? So the Gadites made two serious errors.
Yes.
The first error was when the opportunity came for Gad and the 10 tribes that came over here to America to serve the living God properly here in Azareth, which was renamed America, Azareth. They began to sacrifice children and deal with all types of fallen gods that they brought over from Samaria. So you have to realize part of the curse that came on Gad was Deuteronomy 28, where he says he will send what? A fierce people against you as quick as the eagle flieth. Well, the eagle represents Edom. So because the Gadites end up turning against the God who gave them the fertile and great land and began to sacrifice their own children, especially the Aztecs, the Mayans, and they started turning into straight paganism, God sent the eagle or Esau against the 10 tribes that are over here. I got a book here on that. Right? But then here was the other. Now that was the first error, sinning against God. The second error was trusting them through treaties.
Yes. That's very interesting because in the sixth fire, it also says those deceived by this promise will take their children away from their teachings of the elders. Grandsons and granddaughters will turn against the elders.
Let me read
and
it.
The elders will lose their reason for living.
Let me read it so all can see it. The sixth fire. In the time of the sixth fire. You said sixth?
Yes. Go ahead.
You said sixth?
Yes, sir.
In the time of the sixth fire, it will be evident the promise of the fifth fire came in a false way. Those deceived by the promise will take their children away from the teachings of the elders, set up schools and churches, pagan temples. Grandsons and granddaughters will turn against the elders. That's right. They would re-educate the children and draw them into Babylonian thinking. And this way, the elders will lose their reason for living. They will lose their purpose in life. At this time, a new sickness will come among the people. The balance of many people will be disturbed. The cup of life will almost become the cup of grief. Yeah, I'm going to
And
check.
that's what my people are going through. They're at the most risk. Majority, majority, like they like to say.
I'll tell you what, you're not here for the 7 fire prophecies, but what you have
No.
there. But I believe what you read
This
here.
is what led me to.
I was about to say it. I believe everything you read here led you to understand that everything in the 7 fire prophecy is written of in Deuteronomy 28. And I wouldn't be surprised, being that Gad is from the lost tribes of Israel, that these prophecies actually came from the information they understood when Moses gave not just our people Judah the law, but Gad also, our brother. But the
Yes.
Most High said that in the same land that it was said that we are not his people, in that very same land it shall be told them that ye are the sons of the living God. And brother, even though we came here separate, we will leave free. We will leave a free people together. The lost tribes of Israel united. And this is why they sent the replacements, brother. Because I'm not here. Judah will no longer war against Ephraim, and Ephraim shall not envy Judah. We're going to cast all of our issues aside when it talks about the 10 tribes, the 12 tribes, and understand there's a greater enemy that have always sought to destroy us. And this is why the enemy, outright, in plain sight, have sent the replacements. Because why? This conversation today, brother, this conversation that one day we would unite is prophetic in of itself. Thank you, my brother.
Kwam Yasharala.
There you go. Bless you.
I got a question.
Yes.
Sorry. My question is, I have someone I hold in high regard. He's a very good teacher, but he's stuck on believing that this whole New Testament is all just a big sham, that Jesus was meant to keep us. I don't want to get into it, but how am I going to prove that otherwise? Because I know that there are so many teachings and foreshadowing of Christ's sacrifice. And I was wondering if there was any video I can find or some sort of teaching you can share with me.
The greatest mistake you can make is measuring someone based on your personal, your outside perception. And why am I stating that? How must you measure whether or not this brother is a good teacher?
How?
Yeah, how?
Oh, he was actually the one who led me to the Bible. And he, at first, he's like, it's like he believes in Christ, and then next thing you know, something new comes up, and next thing you know, he's a flat earther, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, the best thing you can do is pray for the brother, because this is what the scripture says, my brother.
Okay.
Right? All due respect to him. Right?
Yes.
I've met people like that. He's all over the place. Okay? Who knows? The Most High could have had him cross your path so that you can be here. Let me tell you, the Bible tell you, one man planteth, another man watereth, but it's the Most High who brings the increase. Mm-hmm. John 3:18 says, he that believeth on him, this is Christ, is not condemned. But he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High. And this is what Christ told the Pharisees and scribes. Because guess what? There was no better teachers at that time than those Pharisees and scribes. He says, don't try to claim that that you believe in Moses and all the children of the prophets. Because your actions prove that you are the same people who condemned or killed the prophets. So just because someone know the Old Testament, brother, or may have led you through understanding the Old Testament, doesn't mean they have the truth. You measure truth through Christ. That's how you measure. That's your perceptions and your emotions out of the way, and understand that I'm going to measure what this person is and who he is to me based on what? Christ's measurement of that man. And it first starts with whether or not he believes in Christ.
Right.
So the most you can do is pray for him and use an opportunity to one day deliver the truth, to reciprocate or to pay back the favor by one day presenting light to him. But out of that, anyone who believes, you have to realize, brother, if you don't believe in Christ, your whole vision, your spiritual vision is darkened. It's like a wall on the inside of you.
Yes, I can see that actually.
Exactly.
It's not very.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When is the last time that you stood up next to a wall seeking a response and hoping that wall would change from anything other than that?
Too many times.
Exactly.
I've given up on that.
Exactly. So that brother must be willing to accept Christ to see. There's nothing you can do about that. He's denying Christ. You have nothing to do with him denying Christ. So through that, his eyes have become darkened. So who knows? It may take circumstance. The Most High may have to break him down, because I've seen that. He'll break you down to a point where you fall to your knees, and the only one left is that same Son of God you have denied. So experiences, it may take experiences for him to see what you see right now. And if the Most High want him in that kingdom, then, the Most High is going to break him down, and eventually he'll come around. But that's not your mission. Your mission is to build where you are and not be deterred or taken like he is. You must become that. You must, brother, become that strength, so that when he come around, there's someone there for him. All right, that's your position.
I'll be there.
There you go, my brother. Shalom. All right.
Shalom, elders.
All right.
Shalom, brothers and sisters.
Shalom. Yes, that's Anthony. We're only going to have a few tonight. We're going to have an early night. I thank you all. Please, I want to make sure you all in that next Hebrew and Bible Academy. There's so much information that you can't find no other place. And I'm going to deal with these statistics. I'm going to deal with the statistics, the reality of our world, and where we stand financially compared to every other people. I'm going to put those numbers out there to show people. Okay, when it comes to they're using money to divide man and woman when we need each other. If you have brains, you'll get money. If you put yourself together under the proper order to serve the living God with a unified perspective to make it as family. Money is a prerequisite of family. Automatically it comes. Money is the reality of family. The first businesses were what? Family. The bigger your family, the more you could produce. And they done turned it around where some people crazy out of their mind is going to sit there saying, well, what do you want in a man? Well, he had to be 6 foot and about 6 figures. So he built himself up he built himself all the way up there, and the man have to work to get there. So that you are entitled to what he worked for. Insane. Because that man who worked to get there want something. And that man who worked there have choices. And the last thing that man want to do is give his money over to someone who's waiting for him to make it. He'd rather deal with a woman who would be there from the beginning, whether he had the money or not. I'm going to talk about that in the next academy, man. The unrealistic expectations of Babylon. 409. I'm going to write that down. Unrealistic expectations. Okay. All right, Pamela, you're live. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, how are you, sister? The floor is yours.
I'm good. I wanted to comment on the eviction.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me yesterday. I was evicted.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And,
What happened?
Well, I had got behind on rent in the month of July. It started in July. And so I was served the eviction in December. So my first court date was January 17th.
Well, I don't want to
So
go
when I
through
went in on the
sister. I don't want to go through all the details of the dates and all that. But let me ask
Oh,
you.
no, I just want to kind of,
Yeah, but I'm asking you this: how could your husband allow you to be evicted?
I'm single.
Oh, okay.
I'm a single woman. Yeah, I was just kind of trying to tell you, like, the eviction, not the whole process, but like what, how it transpired. And so when I went in on the 17th, I went with the amount that, was required.
Yeah.
So on the 17th, the manager was there with her attorney. And so there was more money that was requested. So the judge reset it for January 31st, which was yesterday.
Okay.
So I went in on the 31st with the other amount that was requested on the 17th, and they still wouldn't take it.
Oh, so what they're doing is they're forcing sisters out so that they can so that they can now make room for the replacements. And even if you do comply, they're still evicting you?
Yes, sir. That's what happened.
So where you staying, sister? What are you going to do?
Well, I did the appeal this morning, I guess, to kind of buy a little time to see how that goes, but I don't know.
So right
Because
now,
I wasn't expecting that.
okay, well, right now you're still in the house, but you have a date in which you must vacate the premises.
Not yet. That's why I did the appeal. The appeal will buy me a little bit more time.
And I'm going to ask you this: is what you're dealing with now, is this a new experience that you haven't seen? Usually there were options for sisters in the past where you wouldn't have to worry about things like this. Is there a difference in what's going on now compared to before the so-called pandemic?
Well, this is new for me. I've never gone through this before. And I've been here for 10 years.
So what you're doing is what you're saying, you're verifying a lot of what we're saying, that they separated the families where sisters would be alone and feel comfortable with thinking that it was okay to be that way. But now they're using the laws and all of that to get sisters out of housing now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You've been following the church. Are you a part of the church, or have you been listening, or?
Yes, sir. I've been following for 2 years now.
Okay. Are you a part of one of our gatherings?
What you mean by that?
Are you gathering?
A body?
Are you gathering with a local body?
I tied through the Houston body. That would be the closest body for me.
Okay, but you've never gathered with the body?
No.
Okay. All right, if you don't mind, I'm going to take down your number, and we'll give you a call, okay?
Okay.
All right. 1 second. Pamela, right?
No, sir. Tamara. Tamara.
Oh, Tamara. Oh, let me see. It says Pamela, but Tamara. Okay. All right. All right, Tamara. We'll reach out to you and see if we can see what we can discuss with you. All right. And I'll pray that
All
things
right.
work out. All right. Now let me ask you this:
All right.
even before
Uh-huh.
they sent you the notices that led to the eviction, right?
Uh-huh.
Let me ask, if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 49.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'll call you. We'll talk, and because I'm sure there's layers to all of this, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know there's layers, and I don't want to put your business out there like that. So I'll talk with you. All right. All right. Shalom.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Okay. Elisa has a question. Elisa.
Yes. Shalom, elders. I
Shalom.
just
How are
have a
you?
quick question.
Yeah.
I'm fine, thank you. I have a quick question in regards to the verse that Elder Lawyer read. It was Luke 21, where it says, "And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
Yep.
then know that the desolation therefore is nigh. Let
Mhm.
them which is in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out."
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm wondering, well, I'm asking, do you think it's proper to, is that saying that what can really happen here in Babylon, when the armies come, because we know they're coming, should we flee? Like, because I was already planning on going to the continent. Is that wrong? Am I doing like a flee doctrine or something? Because I'm seriously thinking about leaving to Africa.
Well, listen. I done seen other people coin things as flea doctrine and all that. There's no flea doctrine at all. Okay.
Right.
It's no doctrine.
Okay.
Okay. There was no doctrine when Christ told Jerusalem that if you don't flee before the Romans come,
Right.
your family will be killed and enslaved and thrown into the arenas as
Exactly.
gladiators. So that's no doctrine.
Okay.
That's true. When we shall
Okay.
see Jerusalem compassed with armies, that means at the same rate as in Jerusalem, where there was military occupation for a while. Now, keep in mind,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't happen overnight. They weren't there.
Right.
They weren't there, and then immediately Jerusalem fell. The people we
Okay.
got comfortable with being militarized, right?
Okay.
Because they were actually helping out. Like, you got police. Something happens, they'll break up a domestic fight. They'll do this, they'll do that. We're so used to them within our society that we,
Okay.
you begin to believe that, this is just it's just a conformative change. But all in all, those
Right.
who understood that this was something else knew what to do. Now, when I say knew what
Right.
to do,
Okay.
the reason why Christ was speaking in Jerusalem is because why? Keep in mind, sister, that
Mm-hmm.
at Acts the 2nd chapter, there was devout men out of every nation who would come to Jerusalem every year for the Passover, right? For the Passover,
Right.
and then 7 Sabbaths, first fruits. Well, at first fruits, that's when Peter distributed the testimony of his walk with Christ and the true ministry of who they just killed. So they took the
Okay.
ministry into their respective areas. So it wasn't like
Okay.
someone is just leaving one location and going to another location willy-nilly with no direction because armies are going to come. Armies are going to come every
Okay.
place. Right? So
Okay.
what I
Okay.
learned, even when initially the Most High had us go out and say, flee, go, and all that, we were operating and still operating off of total faith. What I know now that I didn't know then, it was to establish those places that will have refuge by first dropping the gospel. So that
Okay.
now,
Okay.
because also when you're reading that verse in those same chapters, if you're persecuted in one city, flee in the next. So we can be
Right.
overseas at an area where it might happen, but because we have the work established with the body, we can leave one of those cities over in that country and go into another city that's established who believe the same thing. So this was an organized effort to be saved with believers. It wasn't just going someplace
Okay.
because Babylon was going to fall or because Jerusalem was going to
Okay.
fall. You got it?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you so very much. I
and this
appreciate
is why, and not only that, you got people over there out of their minds and fleeing have become their hustle. They'll get somebody, oh, you better go now, you better leave now. And they'll start sending you email and doing all these things because they need money coming over from the United States to keep them afloat. So they'll find out, and you know, people in particular, they'll find out whether or not you got retirement, all this and all that, and they'll cut a deal with the landlords of the other nations there so that they can get a cut out of what you get when you get there. And then when you get there and give them the money, they disappear.
Right.
So there's
yeah, I've
all
heard that.
types,
I've been watching.
sisters, there's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
types of crazy scammers that
Oh, I know.
that have
I've
used
already
fleeing
watched some
as
of
a
that
hustle.
stuff.
And this is why we had to say, well, listen, they're loosely trying to connect themselves with us. No.
Right.
We have an
Right,
we have an organized church, and there's a way about going about things. We have people, churches all over the earth, and if we're fleeing with people, with family. Saints are in communities where we'll have provisions, food, whatever, and you can call it fleeing what you want. We call it traveling.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So when it comes to fleeing, flee into a church, sister, and be guided. Okay?
Okay.
Believe me.
Well, do you have information
listen,
on the church
listen.
over there
Yeah.
that you have? Okay.
Well, no, sister, you have to while you in America establish some sort of relationship with us, because why? We have to know who we're sending there. Not to say that you may
Okay.
be the most perfect person in the world, but no, we're not telling people to flee, to come into a church to flee. We're saying flee
Right.
your sins
Yeah,
and
I
come.
don't have
Listen,
a church. I don't have
listen,
a church,
flee amongst.
and I'm in Maryland.
Okay, I'm going to give that to you. Flee into a church
Okay.
and be guided. Okay, because if
Okay.
something was about to happen right now, I wouldn't be in Babylon here teaching with you.
Okay.
So with
This is
patience,
right.
possess ye your soul. There's other prophecies that have to happen before we go to that stage. We have time. Flee into a church.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
let no one online don't try to trigger you and like, oh my God, look at this news article. Oh my God, Iran, this,
Yeah,
that.
that's me.
Don't let them
Right, yeah.
scare you, because guess what? As they scare you, your pockets are getting loose. With each scare, they loosening those pockets.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it. Okay.
And that's what's
Okay.
going on. Whether it be that Jordan situation or those other situations. That's all it's about. So if you
Right.
go to their page, you will see a whole list of hook me up. So I
Right.
can survive while running from authorities over here. Okay?
Right.
So don't get
right.
yourself hooked.
Okay.
Sister, there's all types of crazy stuff going on. Don't get yourself hooked with these people, because every person we warn,
Okay.
they're mad at us now because, hey, listen, I told you not to do it. Now, don't try to turn around
Oh,
and get mad
yeah.
at us. I told you to stay away
Right,
from this.
yeah.
So you can sit there and you know, and get buttered up from one of these hustlers over there if you want. Okay.
Right. right.
All right.
Okay, Elder.
All right. Well, bless you.
All right.
Relax. Okay.
Thank you. Shalom.
You're welcome.
Okay. Shalom.
Shalom. 916 area code.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. How are you?
Pretty good. I just was trying to, thanks for answering. And this is my first time calling. Been in the truth for about 8 years now here in the Northern California body.
Okay.
And the lesson is always poignant with you and Elder Lawyer, with the edification through the Most High. Just had a comment on the lesson tonight. here in California, they have this new law that kind of went into effect fully on the 1st of January, called the SB 357, and it will eliminate law enforcement ability to harass and arrest alphabet women and women of color based on better assumption of the person is engaged in sex work. And actually, it eliminates their records if they've been convicted of that particular crime before. I was just trying to comment or had a question on it. Do you think it's related to the same thing that you're talking about this evening?
You talking about arresting women for what they would call street walking?
Yeah. So they can't do that anymore. So
they cannot. Exactly. What I wanted to tell you is, yes, it has everything to do with it. Keep in mind, there's no coincidence the same time they shut everything down in March 2020, OnlyFans became a mainstay amongst young girls who wanted what? A lot of money. There's no coincidence that at the same time things shut down, OnlyFans, which is really, adult entertainment, young girls had access to show their bodies for money at the same time, almost legalizing the act of prostitution. At the same time, I did an article years ago where, here it is, in California, the vice president of the East Indian, Kamala Harris, right? And the replacements, when she came out and she said that we need to get lighter on prostitution and understand the benefits of sex workers. So the reason why they're segueing there, because they understand with women getting thrown out of their homes, that women are going to have to compromise their bodies to survive. So they're legalizing it as a way of taking away, of really relieving some of the sting. Right? Why? Because a lot of women aren't going to have the alternatives at the office, working to sustain their current lifestyle. So OnlyFans was waiting, and they're loosening up. That's right. I'm just going to use the word because you can't say it. The code for when one is arrested for that is 304. It's called a 304. So they're opening 304 activity and making it legal, knowing that that's going to be some of the only options for women to stay to stay with a roof over their head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like I said, I've been here for 20 years, and you go to the Walmart, and it's the open air market. I've never seen this, so I think that the lesson is right on time, Elder, because I can't even take my kids out in that area past about 7 p.m. and the cops go by. They can't do anything. They just like I said, open air market, whatever you want, and it's time for everyone in the body and just everyone to get right with the Most High, because we know that time is coming.
Yeah, and when you see it like that, know that Sodom and Gomorrah is at its height, and it's only a matter of time before judgment comes. But believe it or not, it's all intertwined. You have girls waiting to get 18 years old just to set up an OnlyFans account. Right? So here we go. And see, this is, the choices are minimum or slim to none. Because, listen, I don't think at the age of 18, even, because I got the truth in my early 20s, I would not have wanted, at that time, an option to get all that money privately to myself, right? By the click of a button, without no real work and in a spirit towards good success. Even a man shouldn't have access to money like that without the understanding of what to do with it at 18. You understand? And these girls are coming straight out of high school, actually selling themselves online for an opportunity to make 6 figures. So that's too much for these girls, but they don't understand They don't understand the consequences of that. They don't know that at the end of it, you know, what they're going to have to pay for in their future when it comes to wanting a family or someone to respect them, right? So that's a whole nother conversation. But yes, the OnlyFans, prostitution, deciding to go to a club to actually strip and all that, these are going to be some of the only options left to sustain their lifestyles. And it's deep because what they did in the hip hop culture, they made that particular lifestyle what? They made it comfortable enough where so many women are doing it that there's no shame attached to it anymore. So by putting it out there through hip hop, it made giving your body for money a viable option. And now they call that, believe it or not, entrepreneurship. This is the nonsense I'm hearing now, that I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, entrepreneur what? I got an OnlyFans, and I got that connected to my Instagram. This is what's going on out there, folks. It's a shame. We're losing our daughters. Thank you. And how can one police that? When the only thing you need is a telephone or a computer in front of you to set it up in the privacy of your home. And immediately a month or two, you making more than your mother and father, and you're moving out into an apartment, a house and all that to really get it popping. The satanic hot girl summer. But we're going to be talking about that in the academy, but I want to go into that. Those young, impressionable ages, the choices we make that could mean life or death. I'm going to talk about that. Right? Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Shalom.
All right, Shalom. Great point. All right, let me place you on hold for a moment. Okay, I think he hung up. Sandra has a question or comment. Sandra.
Yes.
Yes, the floor is yours.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
Well, first, kind of question comment. I talked to you about a month ago. Elder Lawyer was supposed to call me for baptism, and I was just calling to make sure he doesn't forget me.
Okay, and let me ask you, one second. What city and state you're in now?
I'm in Georgia.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what, because I apologize. So let me fix that one moment. Let's go here. All right, this is what I'll do. Sandra. And let me put your number down. Okay, I just text that to Elder Lawyer for Georgia. He'll reach out and connect you with Bishop Baruch there.
Okay, and Elder, question: Do you think you all will ever get a church in Augusta?
Yes,
Augusta, Georgia.
I'm working on that. We should have something this year. Definitely, we're going to work on that.
Thank you, Father God of Israel. Thank you, Lord. And my comment was, I really enjoyed the round table in the Academy, Elder.
Thank
in the
you.
Zoom, I learned so much just from listening to the lady. And I want to tell everybody out there, if y'all not in this Hebrew and Bible Academy, y'all are missing out on a lot. It was so, I can't describe what I got. It was just such a good thing, the round table thing that you did.
Thank you.
It was so engaging, and I actually learned a lot and enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the lady that called in the Zoom and learned a lot through the lady talking and through the round table. So thank you. And everybody, y'all better come on and get in because you're missing out on a lot. I'm learning a lot through the Academy, and thank you for what you do.
Well, you're welcome. And we're going to have a roundtable discussion, right? We're going to have another roundtable discussion. And I'm teetering on doing this but we may have on Israelite doctrine, we may have one of someone who represents an Israelite doctrine come in on a round table so that we can discuss what's right or wrong according to the Bible without any without any ad hominem attacks or without any offenses, just doctrinal situations on certain points. So I think that's going to be hot. That's going to be a hot thing when we open that up. And I'm really thinking about doing that for the next academy, not just do the family or the man-woman discussion, have two discussions. Israelite talk.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to name
Yes.
it Israelite talk. Because no talking that
Sounds
or
good.
around. Here it is right here. This is what the Bible says. And we ain't dealing with no personals, no ad hominem. Let's talk about this particular thing, and then how we actually come together on this will determine whether or not we'll have another discussion on a different topic, hoping that it can bring us into the unity of the faith. And if that's their true objective, I don't see why they would object. So the next
sir.
academy, watch it. Now, if you come in with a potty mouth, I'm gonna have to mute. All right. I'm not. You're gonna come in as a dignitary, as an ambassador of the word, which with much respect. Okay, so I'm gonna look into doing that. Israelite Talk Roundtable. I'm looking to bring that in, as well as another, the divide of man and woman discussion. Now, it's
Yes,
gonna.
sir.
Hey, oh yeah, it's gonna be nice. So thank you, Sandra, and yeah, all right. So I'll make sure Elder Lawyer or Bishop Baruch reach out to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Bless you.
Shalom.
Shalom. You know, I'll have a guy come in who don't believe in the New Testament and believe that the Old Testament should be the only record and that Christ isn't the Savior and all that. Hey, we'll talk on that too. Because I'm going to ask you, I'm not even going to the New Testament. And I'm going to ask, well, who's that guy? When did he come? What about that guy? What about that guy? So, and then if he still don't want to believe, my take is if you don't believe in Christ, skull and bones anyway. But you can't say after speaking with me, the opportunity didn't present itself. All right, let's go through the Spirit of the Almighty. Cora has a comment.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Cora. How are you?
Yeah, I just want to comment. Nadia, quiet. I just want to comment on these replacements. I had a friend who had her mother was in the hospital in a group of like a group of hospitals, like 4 there in St. Louis that had gone together, and you might say as a conglomerate. And well, her mother had a broken femur, and she was in the hospital. Well, she was preparing to have surgery on that to repair the broke in her leg. And then they were all set up and prepped to do the surgery. Everybody was ready. And this one East Indian doctor came in and said, well, she needs to go to hospital. She said, well, she's going to help. She's prepped for surgery. Well, she's not going to have the surgery here. And then another doctor came and whispered in the daughter's ear, said, get your mother out of this hospital, but don't take her to any one of these, anyone in the group of this hospital, because they'll look in the record and see what the other doctor had said, and they won't do the surgery there either. So she had to take another hospital that wasn't affiliated with those 4 in the group, and her mother finally got the surgery. But she said, now, if her mother had been taken to hospice, she definitely would have died without this care that
of
she
course,
had.
because
She
that's
would
what
have been,
hospice is
broken
for.
femur.
Hospice is, as they call it, to make you comfortable before transitioning.
Right. Right.
So-
But it was just in the East Indian doctor that denied her the surgery and talked about, no, take her to hospice.
Yeah, hospice
So I
is
said
a
there-
transition, yeah.
Yeah. And so they are basically there, they're here to kill us. That's basically what they're
Allegedly.
here for, I think, now.
But I'm glad there was a nurse who had the courage to tell your daughter, get her out of it. To tell the daughter to get her out of there.
Right. Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't Durst. It was another doctor that
Another doctor there.
That,
So they understand
uh-huh,
some of these
another doctor
replacements.
that
What?
told.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pray. I'm
They were
glad
doing.
everything worked out, and it's all alleged. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
here just to read the Bible.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, sister.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Bless you.
Bye-bye. Shalom.
Oh yeah, and Elder, we put together a chronological order to read the Bible. It was revised because one was missing, but we sent that out last week. Let me tell you, the chronological way of reading the Bible, along with the New Testament and the extra biblical text, how to read it in order. Only through the Gathering of Christ Church can you get this, and we're going to make that a caveat that we give those who enroll in the academies going forward. All right, so I wanted to put it out there. Excellent work, Elder Lawyer. All right, next. And
praises.
oh yeah, and I'm moving towards making sure we make a Bible with center column references that connects all the books with the name of Ahiah and Yeshaya throughout the Old and New Testament. Center column precept link. Of course, it's going to take a lot of work. I'm going to put some men together, and we're going to have it where the name of the Most High in Christ is in a seriously leather-bound book, Bible, King James Version, never put together like this before. The Gathering of Christ Church. Watch out for it. All right. Israel has a question.
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. How are you?
All right. Hey, Elder, I had the question. It's when it says about being a stray bull, does a stray bull alone, does that mean like someone cannot be by themselves? They have to gather with the body, gather with the church, because right now I'm in a state where, is no church body. And I was thinking like, I got to get amongst you guys.
Okay. Well, there's a difference between not gathering. There's a difference between one who's not gathering and one who choose not to gather.
Okay.
Right. Right now, you don't have anyone in your area. That's not your fault. So let me break down what that says, what that means when it talks about a stray bull, right? Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone. Let me give an example of that, right? When it says extol thyself in thine own heart, that can be one coming to a conclusion without confirming something. You may think something about a person or thought they did something against you or whatever the case, and now you have drawn a conclusion when you could have solved that by actually going to the person. So by doing that, always dealing with what's going on in your mind instead of confirming it, acting it out as if it actually happened, you're going to find that a person like that will rarely be able to keep friends. So when it says not to extol not thyself in thine counsel of their own mind, sometimes we get in our own way. We create circumstances that aren't even there. Or you may listen to someone and now they feed something in you, and now you're taking a seed of evil against another person without even confirming whether or not it's true. So what it's saying is, let all things be established before two or more witnesses. And don't let the counsel of your mind destroy you and separate you from those you love or who could help you, in due time. Satan would like to put thoughts in people's minds, the whisperer. So I've seen people like that. I've seen people just out tripping in their own mind. You have a guy, even we used to go out and all that, back, when I first turned 21, young, we all out there, and you got a guy and I'm giving you a worldly example, then I'm going to give you a truth example. You have a guy who will come in to the spot where everybody is or whatever the case is, and he's mean mugging people as if someone did something to him. Right? In his own mind, in his mind, he's justified in this fight he's about to get into. Right? So he already have a preconceived thought in his mind to harm somebody or to get into something with someone. Crazy people. That's a worldly view of someone drawing a conclusion on someone in their own mind. Now, from a church view, because I know people here listen to us who come in from the world and do all these other, or who's not in the truth at all. And that's why I like to give regular examples where wisdom applies.
Right.
Drawing a conclusion on somebody for no reason, when that person personally did nothing to you. Right? So, and it says, extol not thyself. Right. That means you came to a conclusion in your own mind as if you had a conversation with that person. You've already come to a conclusion as if they did something to you already. And the Bible says, get out of your own way. Stop drawing conclusions when there's nothing, there's not anything there. There's nothing there. You're keeping yourself from success by always drawing conclusions. So that's what it means. Extol not thyself in thine own counsel. Get out of your own mind. That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone. Because no one wants to be around a person who's never satisfied, always looking for trouble. Everyone else is the issue. And guess what? They don't even realize that they are the factor. They don't even realize that at the end of the day, the common denominator is that individual. You can't tell me you're going to have the same instance and the same abrasive scenario or fallout with everyone you meet and try to claim it's that person. You're going to be a stray bull. People are going to avoid you when you come around. That's what that scripture's talking about.
Right. Wow.
All right.
Man, I need to hear that. That's some good stuff, man. Hey, Elder, can you please text me because I forgot your number, for the 15 the Diamond movie.
Okay, I'm going to hit you up, right? Let me hit you up.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, one moment. I only got a few more, then we'll end this 510 area code. 510.
Greetings, Shalom.
Shalom, how are you?
I'm well. This is Shanice with Mama Kiki Ministries, and we're following you. And I'm listening. Great show. Yes, we're seeing the replacement. We're out here in East Oakland, where the gentrification is severe out here. And they're moving us out of housing, trying to put us in industrial housing, more like caves out here. So we're just wondering, do you have a group up here on the West Coast?
Absolutely.
East Oakland area?
Absolutely.
Want to lick up? I might want to leak up because we're seeing the struggle. We're seeing the struggle with the children. We're out at Sabrani Park, and we've actually watched this whole community just break down and be replaced by people from Mexico and elders removed from their homes taken. People come in, steal the homes for a little of nothing. And we're just trying to keep our faith.
Sister, what do you, I'm going to listen to you, but what do you see in our neighborhoods to push amongst the people to push back at any of this? What are the initiatives what are the initiatives amongst our people in your area to push back, if any?
We have to start.
We have to start helping each other. we have to find out who is in our corner
Right.
first. You know, we have
Right.
other organizations coming in, but to me, they're more helping as far as to remove us from these communities. I
Right.
mean, they're setting up cinder blocks where people have mobile homes. They like sweep the city. You know, they have an abatement crew to come out. And this really is no one, because the community was filled with, you know, there's a lot of people that were on drugs out in our community. You know, we have that issue that we had to deal with. And then they want to kind of push these people into clinics and give them help and put them on certain things like methadone and stuff. And I personally don't see anything. I've just been ministering myself, helping people to get off of those things, trying to direct the youth in other directions, and also, you know, waking them up in our faith and
Good.
letting them know that, you know, gather together in order to come up with the plan to take to them.
Great.
We don't really have one. We had a sister that made news. I can't think of her name right now, but she sat on her grandmother's house on Magnolia Street in Oakland, trying to, you know, get them to stop coming in and taking over and taking the property and raising up the rent and the prices of the houses out here.
Well, I'll tell you this, like I said, it's too far gone. We sat back and allowed them to just infiltrate to a degree where, and at the same time, they gave us all these crazy diagnoses and put us on all this crazy stuff or whatever, to the point where our people don't know if they're coming or going at this point. And
And we are seeing this too, like zombies too.
yeah. But but I'll tell you what, there is hope with with brothers and sisters like you in those particular areas. So I'll network with you. Let me get your name.
I would love to. Yes, it's Shanice.
Shanice.
And my number, is Shanice.
No, you don't have to say your number publicly. I have it here.
That's what I was thinking. I was gonna say, I don't want to give it out on public. I don't know who's listening, and this.
All right. Well, Shanice,
Internet
I'll call
is-
you and your husband, and guess what? We're going to deliver the word and see who the Most High calls to the work.
Please do.
The defiance.
Yeah.
The defiance. The pushback must be first spiritual. I believe that these people who are sent over here were sent with the purpose from the devil out of their satanic temples to destroy our people within the cities.
Sir.
So we must fight spiritual fire with fire. So I'm going to talk to you about that. All right?
Please. All right.
I will
Keep
be.
up the good work. I've been watching you for years.
Thank
you. You guys are doing well. Thank you so much.
Well, listen.
You're welcome.
I'm sure you're doing great work too, and it's the Most High who's bringing us together. So let's finish for
I'm
our
trying.
people. We all of us have been. Listen, you've been on the battlefield too, so let's do it. All right. All right. Shalom.
All right.
All right.
Shalom.
All right. We only have 2 more calls, and that concludes our broadcast for this evening. We have Gabaria Allah, or Gabrielle.
How you doing, Elder? How you doing? Shalom.
I'm blessed by the best. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Thanks
Can't
for asking.
complain. Can't complain. As usual, great lesson today. Just wanted to comment. I thought it was an important thing to notice. But first of all, as I always say, as these prophecies go along, I sincerely witness them and can't believe they're actually happening. Obviously I can believe, but it's just shocking to witness them. And as you spoke about these replacements, I'm speaking from a very interesting position because my parents are from Nigeria, as I've said before, and you see the pattern with the replacements, and they try. And I've noticed that it seems like to me, you can chime in on this, that the enemy, seeing as how the enemy knows that the brothers and sisters over here in America are fully aware. They know that they're fully aware, and it's almost like to them it's a lost battle to try to convince anyone over here otherwise. The movement is happening too fast and too strong. The movement is happening a little less strong, but led by, in my opinion, the brothers and sisters over here overseas. So it seems like to me the enemy is saying, we need to pit these people against each other. I see One of the sisters called earlier talking about some of the people from South America coming in to replace East Indian. But they're lumping everybody in, and they're trying to pit people against each other.
Yeah.
Where they're saying, hey, this is not your brother from over here in Zimbabwe or England or Jamaica or South America. He's an overseas guy, and they're trying to lump those people in with the Ukrainians and the East Europeans and the East Indians. But if you look at, from what I'm experiencing with family, et cetera, when it's time for the people who are of Israel trying to get visas or come over here and get work, they're giving them a much more difficult time than those who are coming over and can't speak a word of English. I looked at Title 42. I was wondering, I have a couple of friends who do some nonprofit things, and I couldn't believe it. Title 42 has 8,000 pages. I mean, 8,000 pages. I couldn't read the whole thing. But if you read in Title 42, the incentives that they're giving for the replacements families over here in America, bringing them over, I understand why they're kicking people out of the house, because they're kicking people out of the house because they're getting paid more by the government to put a replacement in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's in Title 42. You can actually read it. They're getting funded. It's a tremendous amount of money for every person that they put in these homes.
Yeah.
And then on the second note, I was telling you about how what I see the enemy putting their focus on the Israelites overseas. We talked about the first time I came on earlier. We talked about the lady, the sister who got on her knees and was running up to Prince Charles on camera. And now you see the Pope. He put his whole focus back in Africa, pretending like he's Africa's friend. Leave Africa alone. My wife's from Congo, and they shut down the schools in Congo because the Pope came over there. It was unbelievable. And just the final example of that, yesterday I was out to dinner with my mother.
Okay.
My mother was a Biafran baby during the Biafran War when they killed 3 million Igbos. And the British guy that we were out to dinner with told her, because as she was telling the story, she always does it, she just started crying again. And the British guy told her, she said, we've always known that they meant to oppress the Hebrews wherever they were. And when my mom heard that, she looked up at me, tears in her eyes, and you could just tell that she said, I can't believe this man knows this or said this to us. So the spirit is within the brothers and sisters overseas. And my message is to say, we got to be careful. I know they're trying to pit the brothers and sisters within Israel against each other. Because in the same vein, my mom just told that story about, that caused her, she brought her to tears. She told a story about how the British came over and told our people that our culture was devil worship. Although our people were always doing the same thing, the same celebration and the same law, statutes, and commandments as depicted in the Book of Enoch. We've always had 364-day calendar. It still exists.
Yeah, the Hebrew
right?
traditions.
In the Hebrew calendar. Correct. Same thing. And that same voice, and this is what I'm talking about with why the enemy is focusing on the overseas body, because they feel like the overseas body still is in that slave mentality.
Yeah.
After she got done crying, I had this British man telling this, and we talked about the Pope being in Congo, and everybody just started saying that Pope, that devil's trying to set up his own shop over there again and attack. In that same day, my mom started defending the Pope.
Well,
and I just said, Mom, I don't know what to tell you. But that story is just to tell you that I know it looks like what I'm seeing, what you're talking about. The enemy is putting their focus on the people that they feel they can still influence. And by doing so, they'll try to pit Israel against each other, because over here they don't have any hope.
Well, brother, what you're saying is right on. I'm glad you dropped a lot of that, but that's where I get into, and I said earlier about the social and racial targeting as well as the social disruption. See, these are some of their points of social disruption, just to cause trouble, just so that they can continue without us interfering. And one of those troubles is to make us believe that the Indian tribes that are coming over here to harm us or to do anything against us. That's another social disruption they're using for what? The divide and conquer strategy.
Absolutely.
Because all
Absolutely.
in all, I understand that these people come from the third world country, the 10 tribes. They were conquered over here by these same people and are being used as social mercenaries to make us angry with them. So, no. The only thing we're doing is the same. When they come over here, we're converting them. And we're telling brothers and sisters, listen, there's opportunity, but now, since the opportunities are really drying up intentionally to move us out of the box, we as a people here must work and operate twice as hard. We can't sit on our laurels just because we're here in America and get ran over. It's time to face what's in front of us, and it's going to turn men into men. So it's not about blaming some other people. If there's an opportunity that we just allowed them to get, we have to talk about that too. We have to stand up, be men, and get what's ours, and not blaming everyone, not blaming other people for our current position. We must spiritually fight. So the whole thing is, brother, you're right on. I will never go for that. Of course, they're going to let Mexicans and others over. Yeah, because these people are suffering in their countries too and want opportunity. But all in all, what is to say about us is sitting back, allowing it to happen with no resistance? And that's my point. Thank you, my brother.
And with that in mind, I'll also put some responsibility on our brothers and sisters overseas that they need to play their part as well and not be taken in by the deception.
Exactly. And that's why we have churches all over the earth, and it's time to stop pointing fingers at each other, because what? The enemy's at the door. And I believe the Most High is setting up a circumstance that's going to, for one time in our existence, for the sake of survival, the Most High have set the stage for us to come together for the sake of self-preservation for the first time since our existence. And I believe the stage is being set for that, and those who choose right will stand through this. Thank you, my brother. Great phone call.
Amen. Shalom.
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 Shalom. That brother, sharpity sharp. All right, Darryl has a comment. Last call.
Hey, Shalom, Elder. Thank you for having me on. How are you today?
I'm blessed by the best. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. I just had a couple of questions. I wanted to look at Escalations 12:10, where it says.
You mean Escalations? You mean Ecclesiastes?
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure you know. Yeah, I think it's that. I think you know the verse I'm talking about. It says, "Never trust thy enemy," for like.
Hold up, brother. Let me put you on hold. You said Escalations. You have to give me the chapter and verse. Help me out.
Yeah, it's Escalations, or.
You mean Ecclesiastes in the Bible?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Let me get that with you so I can read it for you. With you.
Okay. Okay.
Now, are you in the Apocrypha or are you in the Bible?
I'm in the Bible, King James Bible.
Okay, and what is the chapter again?
12:10.
No, give me the name of the book.
It's Ecclesiastes.
No.
I can't pronounce it.
Okay, Ecclesiastes in the Bible is the preacher sought to find out acceptable words. Now, would you like me to get the Apocrypha for you?
Sure.
Okay, one moment. All right. Okay, that's in the Apocrypha, brother. It's Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus 12:10 says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I had a question about that specific scripture. When you look at our people and the interactions with the heathens, and the history of the brutalization of our people,
Yeah.
is that verse specifically talking about not trusting the heathens specifically, or is it talking about people in general, including our people?
An enemy is an enemy, right?
Right.
An enemy is an enemy, okay? If a nation is coming over here after worshiping in a dragon temple, the last thing I'm going to allow him to do is to dictate my path concerning health or otherwise, okay? I'll see what use I have of him, and if they come over here and they want to put on a white coat, whatever the case is, I'll see what use I have of him, and I'm gonna tell him what he need to do for me. I don't trust him. That's me, right? And it's nothing personal. I don't trust him. I don't know why he's here, and I don't trust him. Now that's one level. Now here's another level. You have a person who continually have art against you, or this person have shown they don't like you, right? For whatever reason.
Con.
All right. So I'm not going to trust that person. that he don't have my best interest at heart, or she. So I don't trust him.
Con.
So now, that's what it means. Let me pull it up so you can see it, so others can see it too. Right? And I'm going to give you a precept to go with that. 1 second. You had me going for a second. I mean, escalations. I'm like, man, I need that. Where you get that Bible from?
Sorry about that, Elder.
It's
that was my
okay.
fault.
I know. It's okay, my brother. And it's, let's see, Sirach. It's Sirach 12, which is Ecclesiasticus. All right, Sirach 12. And the 10th verse, which reads, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." Okay, eventually iron is going to rust. Eventually, that enemy is going to cross you. And
Yes.
and here's the point. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take heed and beware of him, because he may come in a what? A passive manner. Yet take heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take the seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So, outright, right? You can love someone, but never put someone who has an issue with you in position to overtake you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Elder. Thank you so much. Another question that I had, if you don't mind, was in 1 Peter 2:18. A lot of people who have questions about religion and things of that nature, they love bringing the scripture up, and it says, "Slaves, submit yourself to your master with all respect, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh." I believe there's this notion that when we were in captivity during the when we were slaves in this country, that slave masters would read this to us, so hence we would submit to our masters. Is there some truth to that, Elder?
Okay, whoever's telling you this listen. Gentile slave masters have been misinterpreting the Bible since their inception. Okay, I'm not going to look at the Bible a certain type of way because a white man is going to try to use a precept to justify his heinous crimes against me. I can separate the precept, First Peter's, from that guy. So this is the problem that people have. Well, the Bible says it justifies slavery. What? First of all, Peter is saying, have it right here. First Peter's 2:17 said start off here, and this is how you know it's a just disingenuous argument when they try to bring that. He starts off in the 17th verse and says and states, honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, and honor the king. Right there gives us the context of what Peter is actually discussing here. Not to disrespect people. Right? Now, when you go to the when you go to the 18th verse, it says servants. It doesn't say slaves. Now, I need you to do me a favor and understand that you can replace that word servant with employee. Because under the Old Testament, servitude was an agreement. And after 7 years, after you make money under a family's employment, you can go away free with money to establish your own business. See? So this servants wasn't talking about slavery, even if a false plantation, a white racist plantation owner would like to use this precept. It wasn't talking about slaves in chattel slavery. It was talking about servants be subject to your masters. These are people who are paying you with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward. So just because someone isn't coddling you doesn't mean they don't have your best interest at heart. Get the job done, right? And be obedient to those that you're under the authority of. So they try to use this scripture to claim that the Bible justifies slavery. They're teaching it out of context. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, that definitely makes a lot more sense. And last question before I leave you alone. NASA I've heard means deceive in Hebrew. Now, when you look at the book of Genesis 1 6 to 8, it talks about the firmament dome. I've been wondering, do we actually, live in a dome where, a lot of the scriptures in the Bible, especially Genesis 1, 9, 10. Or,
okay, hold up. Let's stop. There's many layers here. Don't tell me that you're going to go to a scripture to try to justify a flat earth. Is that where we're going here?
No, I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that either.
Okay, so every time I hear live in a dome, that implies that we're living on a flat plane with like a round thing over it.
Yes, that's my I guess explanation of a firmament dome in Genesis 1, 6, 8.
Okay, hold on. Let's go there. Genesis 1, 6 through 8. Have you ever been in the academy where I taught the creation of the universe?
No, sir.
You probably need to get in. All right. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Okay. Let me pull up the Hebrew word firmament. Firmament. All right. I'll blow it up for you here. firmament. That is the firmament or apparently visible arch of the sky. Firmament. Okay, where did you get dome from?
Well, I just got this picture.
No. I need you to close your eyes. We're not looking at pictures. We're looking at the Bible. Open your eyes in the Bible. All right? An expanse.
Yep.
That is firmament. Visible arch of the sky. Where do you see dome at?
Nowhere.
Okay. That's nowhere, right?
Yes, Elder.
Okay, so why did you use the word dome? That sounds like one of those East Indian concepts of flat earth, because they brought that over here too with their demonic selves.
Yeah, I was just under the impression that a firmament meant we were under a dome.
I understand, because you didn't come up with that idea yourself. That's concepts that are out there with people trying to push the garbage, non-existent flat earth theory. All right?
Yeah, but I was also putting two and two together.
Okay, well, listen,
in
brother.
terms of
If you wanna put two and two together, I'm gonna show you how you do it. Because you ever heard that scripture I read earlier? Don't extol thyself in thine own counsel, lest you be a stray bull, straying alone. See,
no, I didn't.
yeah, you should have been there, because it wasn't meant for you to put two and two together, because you need a teacher to put two and two together.
Right.
Okay. Let me read this to you. Go to Hebrews. You have a Bible?
Yes.
Okay. I need you to go to Isaiah 40 first. Isaiah 40.
Isaiah 40.
Uh-huh.
What verse, Elder?
Read the 22nd verse.
Isaiah 40, 22. It is he that sit upon the circle of the earth.
Hold up. Stop right there.
And the habitant.
Stop right there. So, if you open your eyes and understand what, right? You with me, right? So we're talking about the earth is what? A circle.
Yes.
See that? A dome would imply a half circle. The earth is sphere. Okay? So that kills that dome thing by looking at that circle right there, ain't it?
Yes, Elder.
My man. And if you want to look at it, I'll put it down here, circle, so you can see it. Right? Flat Earth is part of the same conspiracy theorists that came out with all these other things to throw people off to see if they really understand the Bible. And not only that, the lunar moon, zeitgeist, these are all psyops put out there to see if people really believe in the Bible, whether or not you're going to go with anything that's thrown out there theoretically. I need you to go to Hebrews 12 for me.
Okay.
Right? Matter of fact, hold on. 1 second.
Okay.
One second. Believe in the principles.
I'm at Hebrews 12.
I'm going there with you. Go to Hebrews 6. Hebrews 6. That's the one.
Okay. Hebrews 6.
Right?
Verse 1?
No. Hold on. Let me grab it. Hold on.
Drop 5 and 12.
Yeah, that's it. 1 second. 1 second here. Let me go to the regular one here. Hebrews 5. That's it.
Hebrews 5.
Let me know when you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Boom. I need you to read that.
I'm on the phone, so I'm not looking at the broadcast.
Okay.
So which verse?
Okay, I'll read it. The 12th verse, 5 and 12.
So Hebrews 12,
No,
5.
no. Hebrews 5, 5th chapter, 12th verse.
Oh, okay.
Let me read it.
Okay.
For when the time ye ought to be teachers, you need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and have become such a one that have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have had their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. So you have to realize it's dangerous, brother, with you going into theories without a teacher to guide you from that babe stage. You'll be tossed to and fro all over the place, and every other week you'll be calling in here to ask us to clear up the confusion you're finding online. You must let it all go, learn from the beginning so that you can have your senses exercised and know when someone is bringing you something that will throw you off the path. You understand? You can't be dabbling here, dabbling there, listening here, listening there, and cobbling together the truth. You can't cobble this together because you're going to be more confused. And at the end of it, this is what happens with people who does this. Out of nowhere, because they've confused themselves, they'll turn around, make up their own doctrine, and begin to attack me as if I'm the one and come against our teachings as if we're behind their chaos because we don't want to conform to their chaos. And that's what's going to happen, brother. You must put everything down and learn, because I know where you're getting it from. When someone say dome, I know what concept is that. When you need to learn, brother. You need a teacher. Okay? You need a teacher.
Okay.
So I would suggest, a strong suggestion, getting that Hebrew Bible Academy as a start. Okay?
Okay, is that on Patreon or is that on a website?
No, you go to historytimes.org, you enroll, and starting in the first week of March, you'll be able to click in and come into the classes and learn like you've never learned before. And I guarantee you in one lesson, you'll know more out of that Bible than all the days of your life going into any institutions or any other place that claim to know about the Most High. All right?
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. One thing, is that the place
Man, you got
where,
about 4 things. This is the last thing. No, this is the last thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, this is the last thing. Every Friday you have a sort of a little broadcast on YouTube where you transition to
Patreon.
I think the Hebrew and Bible. Yeah, Patreon.
Yeah.
Where you were talking about that the scientists, they see what heaven looks like and they're trying to stop us from going to heaven or something like that.
I didn't say
is
that.
that on Patreon also?
I didn't say it like that.
Well, something along the lines there. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
They know where the sides of the north is. They know where heaven is, because Lucifer and the fallen ones were banished from there, and they're using technology to try to actually enter there in a war, and that's biblical.
Okay.
You good?
Okay. Is it possible if I could get that verse, please, Alder?
What verse?
The verse where they're trying to access heaven to get into a war.
Absolutely. I said one more, but I'm gonna let you get this one. Isaiah 14.
Okay. Isaiah 14. Okay, thank you so much, Elder. I really appreciate it.
No, let me read it.
Oh, okay.
And if you're in the academy, you'll be here to hear one of the last lessons, the judgment of the gods, leading to Armageddon. So, yeah, get in that class, young man. Let me read it.
Yes, sir.
How art thou fallen? Isaiah 14 and 12, I'm tired. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend into the clouds above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. So that's the plan of NASA and others, to go into space, a religious war, really a war of the gods, in an attempt to take back the temple, or he's claiming amongst the Luciferians to take back his temple. So that's the plan. But he's going to get smashed. Heaven is coming to earth. All right? Thank you, my brother. You have a good evening.
Okay. You too. Thank you so much. Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom. Great calls. That concludes our broadcast for this evening. Have a great night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Understand the social engineering amongst around you right now and protect your family. The enemies are in your face out there. Watch your parents when they're going to these places to get help. Make sure your family isn't going to these places when they need a little help by themselves. Make sure there's assistance, family around. Watch. And I'm talking about these institutions of help. Or they can call it health. Either way, the enemy is in your hood and they're seeking to replace you. Complicity could mean, brothers and sisters, it could very well mean that you're stepping into that light. Okay? That 7-day journey into habitations until Christ come and return and help us out on that end. Do not listen to these people, folks. They're in it to replace you. With that, I'm going to say shalom. Thank you, Elder Lawyer, for all your support this evening. I am tired. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up. Sin not. Join the Hebrew Bible Academy, historytimes.org. And keep in mind that the Most High is calling back Israel. Shalom. Blessings.
Shalom.
Thank you, Elder Lawyer.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, yeah, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, the highest gathering Israel. The Arab Arabs and Africans told us. At gunpoint. Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Together us. In Colombia. Reuben from Australia. Issachar, the Mexicans. A highest gathering.